Alright, welcome back to another episode of Head Angle. We're super stoked tonight to have possibly a rider who has achieved more in the last 18 months than many of us would probably ever love to achieve in our whole lifetime. Stoked to be sitting here with Brian Loupos. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How you going?
Fucking stoked, man. Yeah, let's get into it. Been meaning to get this happening for a while with you. I mean, just kind of got to catch you when you're in town. I mean, you're living overseas now and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, man, let's get nerdy and talk bikes and such.
Let's do it. It's good to be back in town, and I mean, I just moved to America, but it's good. We've been talking on and off for the past, I think, maybe 9 months about doing this. So it's good that we finally got a second to finally do it and talk some shop.
Yeah, man, pumped, and it's going to be a big year up ahead, and it's been a big couple of years just behind you. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. Do we want to just?
I reckon we go way back to the beginning. I mean, you grew up in Sydney.
Yeah,
you grew
Sydney,
up
born and bred. Yeah,
south of Sydney.
Yeah.
Where did BMX start for you?
BMX started. Well, I grew up with my cousin Justin. He raced motocross.
Okay.
And I grew up watching him race, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like watching someone go around a track, and But maybe it's been a little bit deeper than that. Maybe because my auntie showed me photos of Justin and myself when we were like babies before we could even walk, just loved being in wheelbarrows and like little plank skateboards and just being pushed around. So anything that moved, we were into. So, but I guess the spark, because everyone has that spark, right? When they see like something that they love to do and they see this, they get that spark and they go, boom. That's what it is.
So which movie did you see? Well, that wasn't your spark.
Maybe the spark was Baco 10.
Damn.
No shit.
Yeah.
Damn. Freeman.
The final.
Nah.
Tony Mortensen. The end and that 7 over that fence.
Dude.
That was fucking nuts, dude. Yeah.
I couldn't believe Brian. Is it Brian Vowell?
Yeah.
With 360 to hang 5 over a spine.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
You know, he was possibly, an arguable topic, but he was possibly the first person to 360 whip to pedals.
Like I heard that. Because Catfish was saying something about, like, he was one of the dudes that first did a tail whip in North America and then did a 3-whip just after I can't remember who did, because the guy who did the first tail whip and double tail whip, he did the tail whip just after he did it. I can't remember the guy who did
Joe Johnson was the first one doing it on an air on a vert ramp or something,
yeah.
Trevor King might have done the first 3-whip, but then Zach over in England.
Zach Shaw? Yeah, well.
Dude, yeah.
So how do you pinpoint?
There's a few claims to the 360 whip, the blender. Yeah.
Well, I think you know, dirt like over a set of doubles. I think Brian Vowell had that one.
Big time.
Anyway,
flights don't count.
Very true. Or Resi. Resi doesn't count either.
Resi didn't exist.
It still doesn't exist because it doesn't count.
Oh, well, you heard it here first, people.
Resi don't count.
Listen and learn.
Boom.
But yeah, man. I guess South Sydney suburbs. I guess almost you're in the Shire, almost at the end of Sydney. I guess Engadine, Heathcote area, home of possibly one of the shittiest skate parks in Sydney. Engadine. I don't know how anyone ever got good riding a bike there. So you and Sam Gibson are probably way more talented than we actually think you are, because that park sucks.
Well, maybe it's a thing for us to get out of Engadine to keep riding, because I think even though we had that shitty local park to ride every day, it made us want to keep riding because we knew what was out there. We see videos and we see all the riders, and we want to go pretty much just have that opportunity they did to ride. For me, my dream was just to ride a half pipe for some reason, because Engadine didn't have a half pipe. So ever since when I started riding when I was 10, just riding like a 6 foot tall half pipe where I can just do air and come back, was a dream of mine, because I learned how to air. As soon as I learned how to air, I was just like, I hated the fact that I had to air, ride for like half a kilometer to the other side of the skate park, turn around, do another air, do it all again. I was just like, so being young, you're just curious and you wanted to like just look at what was around. And back then, Monster didn't exist. Vertex existed, but my dad wouldn't take me to Vertex.
Oh, I missed that place,
dude. I heard it was insane. But when I first saw Menai, I think that's when I got that spark. Was Menai?
Yeah. Okay.
Like not because I went to Menai and it was first time I've ever seen like big bowl shaped ramps, and they didn't have a half pipe, and a vert wall and stuff. Like as soon as I went there, I was just and learned how to ride it because I've come and gutsed there a lot of times, and it sucks to fall on that path.
Oh, it's rough, man.
Oh, it's so rough.
It's caught everyone out.
I think every time I've crashed there and I've got like my grays have got infected from it. Like it's just like it's a like cheese grater, fucking rough.
But I grew up riding that, and I think it's it makes me thankful for when I go to greatly built ramps, and yeah, because back then like I was riding stuff like Engadine and Menai.
Yeah.
And we had there's a little PCYC skate park in Sutherland too that I wanted to ride, but
was it kind of like a donut?
Yeah,
opposite the basketball
absolutely
stadium.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like because there were the skate parks around my area at the time, and that's all I rode when I was a kid. And then I think when I started riding when Monster first opened, and I rode the wooden half pipe for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is legit heaven.
It's fast and you can
it's
crash
fast,
on it.
it's smooth,
you bounce when you hit the ground.
Very, very good ramp.
It's
and
like concrete, you don't break.
I didn't want to ride in another concrete park ever again. But then once it, once I started riding more skate parks, I started falling more in love with not only just riding, but meeting people and falling in love with the sport. Like because to me the sport is it's taught me so much about life, like meeting people and traveling and just embracing your surroundings, because at the end of the day there's no one on earth that could drive past a handrail and for us we'd think it's an obstacle to have fun on. They don't even look at it as they just go another handrail, hold your hand on it, walk down. We can hit that.
When we're in our 80s, man, we're still going to be like, oh, look at that wall ride. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's.
I'll be getting driven to my retirement village or whatever because I've just been in hospital getting meted up, and I'll be in the bus looking at things going, but you could probably gap that hit to the totally, you're always going to think about.
Not going to leave you.
No, it's once it's in your blood, it's never going to go away. You're infected, And
do you think you get it in your blood because you've shinned,
at
Menai have been so smashed so many times, and the pedals have gone in, and the metal's got in your blood?
Yes.
Yeah, BMX is literally in our blood.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. It's as soon as you get those metal pedals in your shin, you're done. You're done for.
Yeah.
So when you first started, hitting Engadine and that sort of stuff, when you first sort of got the bug, I guess, was there a bit of a scene where you lived? Like, was there a bunch of kids your age, or were there older kids? Like, what was? I mean,
well, when I first started riding, I was 10, so I was riding with people much older than me. I can't remember their names, but there was a scene, and we used to go ride like the primary schools, the high schools, right around the town center, and just enjoy each other's company. I remember I was just a kid where like my dad wouldn't give me pocket money to go ride the skate park for the weekend. I remember I'd wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, be at the skate park from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, but not just ride the skate park. When these guys showed up, we would ride around, we'd be like, oh, let's go get lunch, and we go to this chicken shop, and then after the chicken shop we'd ride around and look for spots. And I was always like, because I didn't have any pocket money, my dad wouldn't give me pocket money, but these people knew, the other riders knew I didn't have any pocket money, so they're like, Brandon, do this, and we'll give you like $5, or we'll give you like back then they had like Big Mac vouchers.
This is a Sydney thing.
Yeah, well, Danger. I think Danger had the same treatment from the older Campbelltown.
Yeah, they had like a Big Mac voucher. So like if you bought like that, I think it was like a ticket or something. If you bought 5 Big Macs, you get one for free, or 4 Big Macs, you get one for free. And all these guys had these vouchers, because I remember clear as day, and they're just like, do this wall ride, or jump from this picnic bench to this picnic bench, or jump from here to the curb, and we'll give you a voucher, and we'll go get Macca's after this. And that was kind of like when the fire in me started to be like, it was more like I used my bike as obviously an instrument, but that was when the whole goal setting process and everything started for me, when I was about 10 or something. Damn. 11 years old.
And what are you riding at 10 years old?
My first bike was a Haro Mirra 540. Damn. Yeah, it was a 2000.
Tank.
Yeah.
So that bike weighs more than this table.
Yeah, that bike was
and how big are you
15 kilos. I can't remember how tall I was, but dude, it was a 21-inch top tube, I'm pretty sure, and I was 10 years old riding a 21-inch top tube.
Oh, these bars are narrow.
Yeah, they were real small. I think there was 7.5 riles or something, 7.5, and they were 4-piece bars too. But I just loved riding my bike. I didn't see it as like a heavy bike. Like if you told me to ride that bike now, I'd just be like, no.
That's the tool of the trade.
But as a kid, I didn't know any different, so I just was like, I just saw it as my outlet, and that's just what I looked forward to every single day, is waking up and just making sure my bike was still in the backyard and waking up and just taking off. Because
it wasn't in your room, dude?
Nah, my mum wouldn't let me keep it in my room for the first couple of years.
Come on, Mum.
Yeah, I know, but it's all right. We got around that. I just started putting it in my room anyway, and she couldn't do anything about it, so she let it go. So.
My argument was always, it's no different than a pair of shoes. They're made of rubber and they touch the ground. Your tires are made of rubber, they touch the ground. What's the difference?
True, very true. I mean, yeah, that's very true. I wish I would have thought of that argument when I was younger.
Well, I guess there's chain grease and things like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm pulling apart my hubs and my bottom bracket in the house.
In your room.
Loose ball bearings everywhere.
Dude, I remember taking my wheel off or something, and because it was like a free wheel, not even cassette, it was like a free wheel hub, and the bearings just fell out, and they were just covered in grease, and it just went everywhere. My dad was just so pissed. I don't think he's ever wanted to hit me more in his life than that moment.
Wow.
He was,
well, man, kids have got it easy now. Like,
dude,
sealed
I know,
bearing
it
cassette
sucks.
hubs, like, they don't know the pain of freewheels either. Like,
I know, that sucks.
Freewheels, like the ratchet slipping, and then you got no drive, and then just ball bearings everywhere.
And it's exploded. Yeah.
And loose ball bottom brackets coming loose every 5 seconds and all that.
No cones and stuff. The cones get too threaded to like keep
man.
tight, and the wheel moves, and you're like, oh, like need to go spend another $250 on a new wheel, and that wheel lasts like a week or two.
And even good stuff wasn't good. Like, you'd still spend money on good stuff, it still wouldn't last like today's stuff.
The collectors freak me out. They want to spend all this money on bikes that are absolute junk.
They still do that.
Say it, collectors, whatever.
They still do that. Like, I'll be in Mafia getting stuff, and then like these like old dudes, like old dudes, will just show up and just be like, Terry, did you see this bike? It's like on for sale, and it's like $5,000 or something. Why would you pay $5,000
for
like
$250?
For a bike you're not even gonna ride?
Well, it's cheaper than a Porsche midlife crisis, I guess.
It's true.
But they're stoked, man. They love it. So
that's another thing.
They do what they do.
Yeah, do what makes you happy, and that's what makes them happy. And it's selling more bikes. So.
So back to you riding your Mirra. I mean, I don't know if you had more than one of those bikes, or I mean, I think when I first, it might have been Menai, when the first time I saw you, there was a little tiny kid on a Dave Mirra, Haro, and it actually reminded me of Danger a couple of years earlier, because he was the young kid who was hanging around the older kids, and that's that Danger kid, or that's that Danger Man's nephew,
Boy or something.
Danger Boy. They couldn't Danger Boy or Danger Kid.
Shout out to Danger.
And he already had a nickname, and hadn't seen him in a skate park yet, but had heard of him. And you were the same. There's that Mini Mirra kid everyone used to say. And I remember.
So we knew.
Dude, I was like, oh, that Mini Mirra kid was there. Yeah, he's getting good. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, did you cop that for a while?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I'll remember the day that I showed up to the skate park, because I don't know how. I literally don't know how. I went to the bike shop. I don't know how they had this. They had like a Haro jersey, like what Mirra and Nike wore at like the 2000 X Games.
The kind of t-shirt
it's
jersey?
Like a t-shirt jersey.
Like black sleeves?
I have no idea how they had it, but they had it. And I was just like, 2004, 2005, I was like, this is not going to last. I'm going to get it today. And I just remember begging my dad, please just give me like whatever, how much it was. Just give me the money. I need this. Like, I'll hate you for life if you don't get me this. And sure enough, he bought me the jersey, and I showed up to the park, because when I bought the jersey, they gave me stickers for the helmet as well.
Nice.
So I put it was like the old Haro logo. It was like a black background and 2 arrows pointing down and like an M on the bottom.
Yeah.
For Mirra. And I put both of them on each side of my helmet. I had a red helmet too, just like Danger, which is really weird.
Super
red helmet, had the Haro jersey on. It didn't have Mirra on the back though, but it was the same one that he wore. And showed up to the skate park with the Mirra bike as well. and one of the older guys was there, like, oh, Mini Mirra, and it just stuck. It
was that Engadine?
That was at Engadine, yeah.
Okay.
And then I remember like when I had that nickname ever since I was probably 11 till 15 or 16. There was people that didn't even know my name was Brandon. They just called me Mini Mirra.
Yeah, I didn't know what your name was.
Yeah.
And it was just
there you
that
go.
Mini Mirra kid came. Oh, cool. We're at a jam. That Mini Mirra kid turned up. Rad. He's here. You're like, yeah. Well, I don't know, can we reinstate it? Probably not. You're not Mini anymore.
Exactly. No. I mean, it's a prestigious title to carry.
It's true, man.
So, you've looked up to that dude, though.
Dude, yeah, he's the It's crazy too, because I've pretty much I have such good. I'm real good friends with Jamie Bestwick and Daniel Dares and Ryan Nyquist, like guys that I looked up to my whole life, and they're like good friends of mine now. And the one dude that I looked up to like a god, like God himself, was Mirra, because I had all the Mirra kit and everything like that. So. But I remember I went to Greenville. My first ever time I went to North Carolina, I went to Greenville, and it was for a contest, and Dave was there, and it was the first time I've ever been starstruck. Like I've when I was doing Nitro, I watched Travis and stuff, Travis Pastrana, and I'd be like I'd still be like, wow, Travis Pastrana. But when I saw Dave Mirra, I never understood what starstruck was. I stood in a still line like this, just staring at him. Like, I felt like I was stuck in time for some reason.
How old were you then, you reckon?
Dude, it was 2000 and... It was a few months before he passed. So it was 2015, I believe. It was right after my knee surgery.
So you're about 20, 21-ish?
Yeah,
like
20... I was 20... I think 22, maybe.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was like... I felt like a little kid. Like, I can't explain it.
Like he was like such a...
Him. It was him.
He defined the whole modern era of park.
Yeah. He was, his pedestal was so much higher than everyone else's because he just achieved so much and he just looked beautiful on a bike and could do whatever he wanted. Yeah. And he seemed invincible. He really did.
Well, I remember back in that day where Miron was like literally training to beat Mirra, and Mirra would do his C+ run and beat Miron and look good doing it. And Miron
like glass smooth, man.
Yeah,
so
glass
nice,
smooth. Front wheel in, like double peg across the whole vert ramp, drop back in, bar air, oppo bar air, and Miron would just... I've heard stories where Miron will come down the half pipe and just push the cameraman out of the way and just be like, get out of my face.
Well, I think he rode best when he was angry. That was what I heard.
I heard he was an angry man.
Yeah.
But like...
Canadian beast.
Well, yeah,
very un-Canadian of him to be angry, I'll tell you that.
I don't know.
But yeah, when I saw Mirra, man, I just... I couldn't believe it was him, to be honest. Like, I just thought it was a picture in real life just floating around. And I remember one of my good friends, Bryce Tryon, his dad came up to me and was like, hey, like, Bryce is about to get a photo with Dave. Would you want one too? And I was like, no, I don't want to bother him. Like, I just didn't... Like, he was there taking photos with everybody. Everyone was stoked he was there. Like, he was really, like... He wanted to... I could tell he was there to watch the event. And he couldn't watch the event because everyone was like,
mobbed.
Dave. And I was just like, no, I'll leave him. I'll leave him. And, you know, if an hour goes by, still here, I'll get a photo. But he left. And that was the first and only time I ever saw him in real life.
Yeah, wow.
And I never got another chance after that. And it kind of like still stings to this day to know that I could have had a photo with my hero. And I chose not to because I was too scared.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, hindsight's a bit of a bitch, isn't it, sometimes? But I mean, like, I don't know, like in that moment though, you were just... Dude, I couldn't... You were shutting down. You were like,
yeah,
what do I do?
I couldn't talk. I can remember getting in a taxi after it, and I was just so overwhelmed. I just couldn't believe it was him. And they were just like, Brandon, it's just Dave Mirra. And I'm like, just Dave Mirra?
How dare you?
How dare you?
So you just missed, I guess, in your era, you just missed them coming out, Ryan and Dave coming out to a comp in Australia.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah. Dude, I remember because when my first bike got stolen, my Haro Mirra 540 got stolen the year I got it for the first time. And then I remember I had like a blue GT comp right after I bought it, right after it got stolen. 2 days later, my dad bought me a GT comp and it was like $300, and I hated that bike, hated it. And
pretty wacky geometry and pretty road.
It was
like
terrible, absolutely terrible. But at the same time, it was either that or not ride. And my dad was just like, look, just ride this, and maybe if you're good, Santa will be good to you too. And I was like, okay. And I waited a year later, and he showed up with a Mini Mirra 540 Pro. I'm pretty sure it was the last year Dave did a signature bike with Haro before he did Mirra.
They were the one that was pretty much a T1 barcode. They looked very much like it
had the
wishbone and the similar gussets and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that the grey one?
It was white and gold.
White and gold, okay.
But it had chrome rims and stuff like that. I remember.
Yeah. Cool looking bike. I thought I saw you on a grey one, maybe for some reason.
No, I painted it black, and then I got a grey frame. Because I got sponsored by Easton, and then I got a grey frame.
That's right.
Okay, that's the grey one I remember then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Back when Easton was at Dirtworks.
Yep.
I remember those days.
Big time.
Yeah, pretty. They hooked up some good dudes. I mean, Daniel Donges, man.
Donges was on board.
He was the first one on board in Australia, and he definitely, that was when he was freaking everyone out with his insane boost and just Donga ways.
Dude, I grew up watching Donga, and I was just like so amazed by. The dude didn't really do a lot of tricks, but the dude was airing 4 feet higher than everybody else and making it look so cool.
And laughing his head off. Like shirtless and shorts, just turning up, coming like swinging left and right all over the trails.
Rubber, man. Like, I mean, few people, I mean, Mike Aitken's in the same league, but few people can make their body move that way on a bike and have it just look so good.
We need to study these type of bodies to make sure that like we need to get this figure so we can move like them in the air and look that good.
That's it.
Because that's BMX.
Yeah.
Style is something that's a very hard thing to...
You can't teach it. You really can't.
You
can't. You just have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And it's I've learned that the hard way.
I reckon you've been pretty lucky in some ways. I'm not lucky, just right place, right time. I mean, you've grown up in a time in Australia when we had some pretty cool comps going on. I guess as you're growing up, I mean, you're so young if we're going back to the timeline.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when did you first see your first big Australian comp?
BMX Games in 2000, and I think it was
2004.
No, it wasn't 2004. It was 2006. That was the year Colin was there, Cam was there, Gula was there.
Yeah, okay.
And that was the first time I seen Gula too, because I've watched all of his videos.
Yeah, that was definitely sick.
And I got and I had a DC shirt, and I got Colin and Cam and Gula to sign it, and I didn't take it off for like a month, and all the signatures just came off.
Just sweated out.
Just sweated it out. Yeah, I remember first time I ever seen Gluey too. I went down to Kiama to ride Gluey's jam, and I was wearing the shirt.
Gluey?
He's a beast.
Yeah,
Gluey?
Gluey
Let's get him on.
Gluey lives in Sanctuary Point now.
Okay.
He's just fishing and loving life and
like Mitch Morrison.
Also Gorecki's on fishing. Yeah. South Coast vibes.
South Coast.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I'm going down there next week, I think, for a week, for like a few days before I jet back to America, because for Christmas I rented a house, for a front house for my family for the week.
Awesome.
So we're all going to go down there and hang out. I'm going to hang out for 3 days, and they're going to be there for the rest of the week, and then I have to go to America. So it was my Christmas present to my family to go on this holiday.
Awesome, man.
So I'm looking forward to going
driving down there.
Yeah.
Go ride Barry.
Dude, yeah. Barry's sick. I remember riding Barry.
It's never not fun.
It's always fun.
Tiny, but it's always fun, that part.
I remember trying to like, because like, do you know how like the end of the bowl has like those 2 hips out of it?
Yeah.
I remember trying to like jump out of one hip into the bank landing.
Yeah, like kind of across.
And just like absolutely just dying every single time.
Yeah, right.
Because I can't remember who did it. I think Danger did it, or Donga or something. I think it was in a Hindsight movie.
Yeah.
They did it, but they just jumped it. And I think I was in my head for some reason. I was just like, 360 will work because you're pulling back and you don't need to pull back as much, and try to 3 it. And it didn't work. So, but Barry's fun, but it also hurts, just like Menai.
Yeah, rough old park.
When's the first comp you rode? Like, I mean, was that BMX Games? Did you ride that one?
I rode my first ever comp I ever rode was just a local skate park comp at Lake Haven.
Okay.
Because my cousin lived down the street, so we were just there. We were just in the area, and I rode, and I competed against Tui and Andy then.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because they were up that Central Coast sort of vibe. Yeah.
Because my cousin started riding BMX because he went to school with Andy.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how I started riding, because Justin, my cousin, showed me BMX, and I met Andy and Jay when I was 10 years old.
Okay. No, they were only a couple of years older than you at that point, probably, weren't they?
Yeah, I'm proud of them too. Tui's living life on the Gold Coast, and Andy just bought a house in America, and they're both happy. And
killing it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I remember when Monster first opened, when they like officially opened and they had, the spine and the vert ramp where they are now when it was first that configuration. Going there, because I had Mondays off work and Monday was one of the BMX sessions.
Yeah.
I remember Jay and Andy, I don't know, they might have been 13, 14, but they were little for their age, I remember.
So little.
And like,
So little.
they were scared about jumping the spine. They'd done it a couple of times, it maybe landed flat or landed a bit rough, and they were like just quizzing me, and it was just me and them on the spine, and they were just like, "Hey man, like, how do you do it? You go sideways." Like, yeah, man, just kind of chill and like you'll get it, and like
just double flip.
just hanging out, and then I think I don't know within a couple of hours, like they were doing X-ups or something over it, or they were doing tricks over the spine. They just learned how to jump it. Like, these kids rule, man. Like
It's just to
kid.
push them over the edge, just show them that. I experienced that with a lot of other kids too. I was like that too, where I'd be like not really, really unsure about a lot of things, and then once someone showed me not how easy it was, but they told me that they made me feel like they knew I could do it before I even did it, and then once I did it, that's when I was like, oh, it's easier than I think. Then you add variations and stuff like that and start doing more fun stuff to make it just more exciting. Like jumping the spine for me was definitely good as well, and I can only imagine Andy, the first time he jumped a spine, he would have chucked his bike and just be like, yeah.
Oh, he was pumped.
Yeah. Tui would have been like,
yeah, a bit more blasé about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tui would have been like, Andy would have celebrated for a week.
No, man, not stoked to see those kids get so good.
Dude, yeah.
And I saw Andy at the Vans Comp 2 years ago. He was in Sydney for the last time I saw him, and had a chat to him. He's fucking stoked.
He's crushing it. Yeah. He was he was not in a good way back then too. He was just
his leg was it?
His leg was like real
shitty
messed
luck.
up.
Yeah,
had like bone infection and stuff.
Like, didn't he have botched surgery or something as well? Like some.
Yeah, he had some crazy surgery, and then the bones didn't heal together correctly, and then they got infected, and then it was just a mess. He's all good now. He's got like a crazy good ramp set up in his backyard. So he's just.
Oh, didn't he live at the ex Caroline Buchanan Barry Noble's divorce house?
Yeah. The divorce house.
Dude, what a setup.
It was good, awesome. Man. He's changing a lot of it too. Hopefully, he was telling me about adding floors because it's all dirt. Adding floors to the backyard, so you don't need to like water the ground before you ride it. But I think that adds some character to it.
Dusty old. Like California's dry as hell, isn't it? So.
Especially where he lives. He lives in Sun City, which is just out front of like Temecula, Corona, like inland California. Like that's.
And Temecula's meth capital.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like the orange of New South Wales where he lives in America.
It's dry.
So it's real dry. But
desert.
But it sucks. There's no breeze out there, and so he's got to really make sure that all the ramps are okay, and because like ramps don't last that long out there.
Crazy elements, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how Pat's keeping his ramp going, but he's doing something right.
His setup's fucking incredible.
What is it every day? I guess.
What is his ramps?
Keeps him growing.
I think it's Reed, his son, just riding it in all the ramps for him, warming the ramps up, and then he gets in. Yeah.
I like it. Hey, so Monster. When did Monster officially become Monster and not just the Sydney?
06.
06.
I think. Because 05 BMX Games was the brought-in ramps.
Yep.
06 BMX Games was Monster as it sat.
Monster,
and then there was the opening party when Living End played on the box jump.
That's right.
That party, that was a pretty fun night. And then Dermo got kicked out and they let him back in. Then they kicked him out again. They jumped the fence or whatever it was. But
yeah, Monster for you, Brandon, was a massive part of your life, I guess.
Yeah.
I remember every time I go to Monster, you would be there and you would drop in on everyone and champ them so hard. But you're always there and you're always killing it. Like, it blew my mind. I think I first saw you there. I think you rode a scooter for a few runs, and I was like, what's going on? How does this work?
Well, it started like as I was saying before. I grew up riding a 21-inch bike, so. And watching Dave and Ryan and stuff when I was younger doing tail whips and all this
you just
cool
can't do
stuff.
It at 10
you
years old.
You can't not only do it at 10 years old, but there was kids 10 years old riding 18-inch bikes, 16-inch bikes, and I was on a 21-inch. And
which is probably the biggest frame you could get back then.
You couldn't get 21.25.
No,
I think Fit maybe did it, but I'm not
a couple
sure.
of aftermarket like expensive, but like generally 21 was where everyone maxed out their selection sort of thing. So.
But like what I was saying, like I wanted to do all those tricks, and obviously I was way too small for the bike I had. So for some reason I just thought, because I went to the East Show with my family one year, and they had show bags. They have a show bag still, but they had a scooter inside the show bag. Yeah. And I remember my dad bought all of us kids, because I'm one of 4. He bought all of us show bags with the scooters in it. And I remember we got back from the Easter show, and I just picked up I picked up my scooter and broke it within 5 minutes, like just completely snapped it.
A folding one?
It was a folding one, but it was like a bad one. It was like the show bag was like $20 or something. So the scooter couldn't have been that good. And I broke my one, then broke my brother's, then broke my sister's, and then broke my other sister's one. And I was just doing tail whips on
brother.
it. Yeah, I was that brother. Like I just wanted to do a tail whip. That was my dream, to do a tail whip. And every time I did a tail whip, scooter would snap. And for some reason, I found like a scooter video online. This is before YouTube, and kids were doing just in the street, just doing tail whips on scooters, and I was just like maybe this will help me on my bike, you know. Yeah. But it didn't. I just, as soon as I got a scooter that could put up with the stress of landing like that, because there was no aftermarket scooters back then, and there was no Genie Spicer to save us back then, and as soon as I learned tail whips, as soon as I learned one tail whip, I learned 2, and then I learned 2, I learned 3, and then I started riding the skate parks, and then scooters got more recognised in Australia, and it started growing, and skate parks let them in, but when I was at Monster riding scooters, the whole time I rode it like it was my bike. I never did tricks on my scooter that I couldn't do on my bike.
I could see that.
I never did the bri flips and the scooter.
They're all sort of bike specific moves. It wasn't like you know.
I freaked out. I thought you were borrowing a bike, and you're a scooter rider.
Yeah.
But then you were right, and I was just like, why aren't you just riding all the time? Because you freaking shred. So it was gnarly. It
kind of made no sense for me to keep riding after I learned how to tail whip my bike.
True.
But I kept riding because I just enjoyed it, you know. And I mean, it kept me off the street and kept me like, I love BMX too, but at the same time, I'm even like that now. Like I'm a huge fan of motocross. Yeah. So that's kind of like my substitute to getting my outlet away from my outlet.
Yeah,
you know? Because sometimes you can't just be like fascinated with one thing your entire life.
As we grow up, we need more paintbrushes. We need more influences. We need more things.
So that's kind of like my other paintbrush is motocross. So when I was younger, it was scootering, but scootering wasn't a sport then. So like what I said before, I just did tricks on my scooter that I knew I could do on my bike, which I thought would help me on my bike, but it didn't. It just made me a better scooter rider. Yeah. And then I remember one day, because my old man told me, like I've been telling him my whole life that I wanted to go to Woodward. Yeah. And Woodward obviously didn't let scooters in, and he's like, I'll send you on your bike, but if you go, you can't ride scooters anymore. And
Dad laying down the law.
Papa Loupos.
And then I was just like,
it's high fives,
ultimatum.
And then I went, but then I came back and started riding again. And then I like got sponsored for riding scooters back then, and I'm not proud of it, but I had fun riding. I'm not proud of the fact that I wanted to be a pro BMXer, but it was hard at the time because there wasn't a lot of
Have a look at the people in that era from Australia who are riding. Like, you've grown up in a time frame where freaking hell, how many amazing riders came out of this country?
Dude, it was unreal. Nuts. I mean, back then, Due Tour still had 6 stops, 7 stops a year, and we still had X Games are still paying real good money, and we had like Triple Crowns still too.
The Vans Triple Crowns.
The Vans Triple Crowns still around then, and Gravity Games. I think Gravity Games was before Do Tour. Yeah. But
it died off.
Because so there was a lot of BMX events back then, but for me, I just felt like so far away from it at the time because it's not like I wanted to be pro, but I just being like going for it kind of scared me. The thought of going for it kind of scared me because going to America, because I've never left the country, the state ever, and just being like go to this whole different place of life.
So you hadn't gone to comps in a state and you went to the States.
The only comps I rode before I went to the States, I rode at BMX Games in 2006, maybe 2007. I think it was 2007.
2006, I think, was the last one in Sydney.
Yeah, 2007
was Melbourne.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 2006, because I rode 2007 as well in Melbourne. I rode amateur finals and didn't make it, which sucked.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I remember this.
And then that was when I met all the Eastern guys, because I rode for Eastern at the time. That's when I met Craig Mast, And
that dude,
front flipping downstairs, dude.
And I remember back then, dude,
funny down the stairs.
And then he threw his bike in the river, and I was like, I would have had it.
Please.
And then I remember like you guys are obviously there. You couldn't drive to the dock where the ramps were, so you had to ride from the street.
Yeah.
And I remember riding past this gay bar, and everyone fucked with people inside the gay bar, and I think that's what fucked BMX games in Melbourne for everyone.
A whole lot of things in Melbourne happened.
Yeah.
Apart from the crap dirt and the wind and.
Dude, those jumps were insane too.
Is that Tui's cover?
Yeah.
The mag was on those
jumps?
jumps?
The first set, right?
The building in the back?
It's just over there.
Yeah, fucking rad.
Yeah. It was a nutty event, but Dinny was in charge of freestyle BMX, and him and Daly pulled off an amazing thing. Like, they got that huge park built in China. You know, it was like a $500,000 portable skate park. But we got it built for like 140 grand or something.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
And they got it all the way to Australia.
Yeah. And it all worked. And it's all sitting in containers somewhere in Sydney.
Apparently Darren from Monster
Darren has it.
He has it.
Yeah. I heard he has it.
Well, he said he was going to give us a mini ramp for the shop, but that never happened.
Yeah, so
I mean, chase him up.
Going back to Monster was a big. You lived there pretty much. I can't remember going there and you weren't there, but I've heard they were a big part in helping you.
Yeah, they were. Well, pretty much. I went to Monster for the first time in when I was 14. I was 14, and that was in 2006 maybe 2017 because I was born in 1993. So yeah, and dude, I just remember just going there. Darren didn't own it at the time, but I was just not a regular. I just went there for the first time. I was like, I love this place. I couldn't wait to come back. And then when I was older and got more familiar with catching the trains out there and the buses and that, and I got more older friends that drove and took me out there. When I hit 16, I broke my leg, and then when I was coming back from when I was recovering, that was that period where Darren and Hagen bought Monster.
Yes,
and
that's right.
And I remember coming back, and I had like a cast on my leg, and it was the first time I ever met Hagen.
You did a tail whips when you broke it?
I did a double whip. It was on Slam's box.
Boom.
Yeah. I wasn't learning double whips. I was doing double whip airs that same day at Thornley, and went to. I think I was just tired from riding all day, and went up to Slam with a couple of friends of mine, and I'll remember that day like it was yesterday. When I broke my leg, I tried to step on it, and it like just.
Man.
Fucking hell.
Dude, and then I picked up my leg, and my ankle was backwards.
Pain doesn't hit
straight away, and I'm just like, it just like buckled, and I was like, what the heck? And I picked up my leg, and my knee was straight because I had pads on, so my knee was straight, and my leg was just my foot was completely backwards, and I just remember getting on the ground and just screaming, and my friend Patrick Wheelington at the time he called my dad and everything. My dad drove all the way from Engadine to Gosford in an hour. Like, in an hour. That's an hour and 40-minute drive. He did it in an hour.
Well, it's south to north, isn't it?
Yeah, just boom, straight to the Gosford Hospital.
200 k's an hour on the F3.
I remember just being on the ground on the green. The green whistle definitely saved my life that night. I love that thing, and don't intend on trying it again. But
don't love it too much.
Yeah, don't love it too much, and I remember I just talked a bunch of shit when I was younger. I remember when I broke my leg and the ambo came and picked me up. I had the green whistle in my hand. I was like, "Cheers, boys! I'll be back next week." And just
6 weeks. It's all right.
It was actually 10.
Okay, yeah, your leg.
Yeah, because I broke my tib and fib, but it was lucky enough. It was enough that it was like a zigzag kind of break, so they just put it back into place.
Okay, cool.
But it took
surgery?
it took 4 surgeries.
Fuck.
Like,
did you get metal in there?
No metal, no screws, because this is a pretty, like, I shouldn't be proud of this, but I kind of am. When I had nothing to do with this, I'm just the guy with the broken leg, but they got these surgeons in to try and make my foot get into place, like exactly like get it into like the grooves where it broke, so I wouldn't need plates. And the surgeons couldn't do it. I don't know why, like they just couldn't do it. So my dad was like talking to this doctor or something, this nurse, and the nurse was like, if we're gonna try again, but we're getting the surgeon to come in from Queensland to do it. And
Wow.
If he doesn't do it, then we're gonna have to pin his leg, and he's gonna have a slanted foot for the rest of his life. And I'm not kidding.
That's happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. This apparently, like, I was asleep and everything, but when the doctor came in, I was knocked out, sleeping. Apparently, the doctor just walked in, looked at my leg, goes, and walked out.
Send me the bill
And
later.
it was and that was it. He just walked out, went to another patient.
And there's people
And
at the
then-
top of their
yeah.
game. That's who you want on board.
Yeah, that's
and then-
pro.
18.
Yeah, it was cool. I was just like, obviously, like, I shouldn't be proud of it, but I'm the guy that was in the circumstance where he just goes and just walked out.
Oh, man,
and
that's
my
what you
leg's
want.
been
Be proud of it.
chilling
Own
ever
it.
since.
Add that to your CV. You know,
Oh.
like X Games gold, World Championship, surgery, snapping back into place, patient legend.
Put it in
dude.
my resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Add it,
right.
man. All adds up.
Yeah,
It's
it
good
took
stuff.
it took 10 weeks to get back on the bike. But when I got back on the bike, I was going to Monster all the time, like what you said.
Yeah.
I feel like we get caught, like we kind of sidetrack a little bit there, but
That's what it's all
There's
about,
no
man. We're
timeline.
just-
Yeah.
Like Quentin Tarantino
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this thing.
But,
now. It's all good.
I remember like just going, like I was a local there. Like when I first started going to Monster, I had no friends there. I was just there riding as a kid. And I remember when I first came back from breaking my leg when I was 16, going to Monster like consistently. And I finished school that year. And back then in year 10, you could only leave if you had a job.
Yeah. Okay.
And back then Hagen and Darren, they wrote like my school a letter to say they're going to employ me
Summer camps
to
or
come
something?
work at the skate park full time,
Sweet.
which they did. That's what I wanted to do. I was like, hey, mum, dad, I want to leave and work at a skate park,
Yeah.
and they let me do it, which is really cool. And I got fired in a week. Next week
Damn.
I was fired.
What did you do?
I was a really crappy worker.
Just rode all the
Hagen
time.
was
Yeah, just
Hagen and
riding.
Hagen and Darren will tell you that. They were just like, he was just the worst worker, and that's from that day. That's when I was like, Dad, I can't work. I just can't work for someone else. I need to do. This is what I need to do. I need to ride
hear you on
bikes. And that was scary when I told him that, because I don't think he even thought I could. Like, he just couldn't fathom the thought getting paid to ride a bike, as a lot of my family didn't. But
Of course.
but it's a crazy thought.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get paid to ride a bike? But then,
Especially in Australia.
especially in Australia, like when I was telling him about, going to America and having to do this and having to go to these events and have sponsors and stuff, he
You
was
had it
like,
mapped out real young.
I saw
You
what
had
it
a
looked
dream.
like from the outside.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it looked like on the inside.
Yeah.
Now that I know what it looks like on the inside, it's a lot more than just being good and
Yeah,
getting
of
picked up
course.
by sponsors. I remember like I first started going to America every year. I went to America for the first time in 2010.
How did you get your cash together to do that?
My dad told me if I graduated high school, he'd send me to Woodward.
Yeah, Dad.
And yeah, he was rad. And I went
Because
there.
Woodward was the dream back then.
Yeah, Woodward
think
was like,
Woodward
that was
was-
it. That's all I wanted to do. And
10 years previous, when I was that age, like Woodward was the dream for us as well. But
Yeah.
that was pre-internet, pre-email.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Pre-email, dude. Come on.
Well-
you just didn't have it.
No, my house didn't have a computer, so we didn't have email.
Yeah, my house didn't have a computer either, and my dad had to call Woodward from Australia, like just
Yeah.
pick up the house phone and call them, and he had to wait up till like 3 a.m. or something to call them, and he was just asking him just millions of questions. I felt sorry for whoever would have been behind the phone answering these questions, but he was just like, hey, I'm from Australia, I want to send my son over. How much do you guys charge for these weeks? And because they have different rates for different weeks,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
is so weird. But
Summer camp.
yeah,
stuff, it's
summer
all
camp
Just
thing.
heavy holiday time.
Yeah,
Peak season.
Yep. And then she sure enough, she was really nice, and she said all these things to Dad, and it was more like a surprise for me to go to Woodward. I didn't know he was making these calls. I was just the kid that just was like
That's
looking at
rad.
photos at Woodward and being like, this is it, And then my dad actually called Andy, and because Andy was at the States that year, and he was like, hey, I'm thinking about sending Brandon over because I went over with Luke Bauerman at the time.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, it was our first time at Woodward. We went together, and
Yeah.
he called Andy and was like, hey, like Brandon's going to come over with Luke, take care of him,
Yeah.
And Andy was like, yeah, no
How
problem.
old are you then?
I was 17.
Damn.
That was crazy.
That's
9 years ago.
And when you got there, what was other than your brain melting into a puddle of goo, like What did you? Were you just like, holy shit? Am I here? Is this real? Like, I mean, I haven't been.
I
to
mean,
Woodward
when
still,
I was when I was 17, I haven't really. I think I've only been on like maybe 3 flights my entire life, and flew to America, and I've never been on a plane without my mum and dad or anything like that. And I went with Luke, and
I'm scared.
Like
Central Coast finest.
Nothing against Luke. I feel like if it wasn't for Luke, I wouldn't have made it to Woodward. Because I was really clueless, man. I was clueless. I had no idea how to catch a flight, and he helped me a lot. And sitting in the middle seat for 27 something hours the entire time to Woodward. We got off the plane. I've never been jet lagged ever in my life, obviously. But when I got off the plane, I swear I looked at Luke and like the back. Because it was like a misty day, the whole clouds were white. So I looked at him and he was just purple, and I was just like, "What the heck?" I've never been so jet lagged where I see colors in people. I don't know, it's weird. Like I've never been like, "This guy's purple," it's so weird. But like what you said, when I got to Woodward, my brain was a pile of glue just from being jet lagged. But we got to Woodward, it was nighttime, and it was Saturday. It was the day before summer camp started, right before week 1.
Okay.
And we got there, and I was just in a cabin with all these different kids, and they were just like asking me to talk because they knew we were from Australia. They were just like, say banana, and I was just like,
jerky little American kids,
and I was just
making
like,
fun of your accent.
And I'm just like, motherfucker, get the fuck out of my face or I'll fucking kill you. And like,
I will smash you. I'm from England.
Hits Pennsylvania. Boom.
Yeah,
I love it.
But yeah, when we woke up and it was daytime, and we stayed in these cabins that were like right by Lot 8 and Cloud 9, and we had to walk like at least maybe 500, 800 meters down this hill to the cafeteria where they had breakfast. And I remember just walking outside and seeing like the Rock, which is like the concrete park right next to Lot 8, and I was just like, I watched Daniel Dez's video there, and then looking left and seeing Lot 8, seeing just video clips from back in the day, like Jeremiah Smith and Zach Vaughan filmed the Levi's video in there. And like behind me was Cloud 9, and Bestwick was filming everything on that ramp in Cloud 9, and walking past all these different skate parks like Outdoor Street, and just being like, I'm here, man, I'm here. But at the time I thought like if you went to Woodward and you got noticed at Woodward, you would get sponsored and you would get taken over, you would get taken care of, right? Because that's kind of like how I thought it would go out, because I saw it not saw it happen to Andy, but it looked like that's how it happened for Andy and
that's
Jay.
That's the story that you see.
Because they went to Woodward for the first ever time. They went to America, and then they went to Greenville and met all these like crazy good riders. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Woodward for 5 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, and I'm going to meet someone that's going to take me to Greenville, and we're going to go to Greenville. And I remember just like, I think I was 3 weeks in, and I was just like, I haven't been away from my family for like more than like 4 or 5 days at this point. And I was away from them for 5 weeks, and I was just so ready to go home after the 5 weeks. I don't know why. I was just like, I just wanted to hug my mom and see my dad.
Oh, dude, I get it. Yeah,
dude,
it's gnarly.
So
it's crazy.
And I went back to. I remember I just met a bunch of girls over there, and then when I got back to Australia, and this is when Skype came out, and I was just Skyping these girls at like 3 o'clock in the morning. They're like, come back, we'll pay for your ticket. Come back, we'll pay for your ticket. And I was like, please do, I want to come back. And I was only back for like 3 days, and I was just like ready to go back to Woodward again. But
any big name riders there when you were there?
Yeah, Brandon Dosh was there.
Okay.
Jeremiah Smith, I remember Jeremiah Smith was there. Dude, Jeremiah Smith, back in the day, he had like these red curly hair.
Yeah, the
super curly hair.
Yeah,
and that was in 2009, but when I went to Woodward, it was 2010. And this is when like, I think Maya went through something, like not like a crisis or something, but he came to Woodward and he had a haircut. Didn't look like him. I didn't know it was him. I always just thought Jeremiah was his, the guy doing 3 down up tucks and all the crazy park tricks back in the day where we're doing now, but he was doing back in the day. But he had long curly red hair, and I was just like, that's him, But then he showed up, and this guy was doing all of Jeremiah's tricks, but he didn't have red hair, and I was like, who's this guy? But yeah, he introduced himself, and it was Jeremiah, and I was just like so crazy, got a haircut. I always thought it was like, it'd be like you getting a haircut. I'd be like, that's not Tom Borman, he doesn't have long hair.
Not gonna happen. But I guess also, living in Australia, and that's, obviously it's not pre-internet age, but it's probably pre-smartphone, web edit information traveling at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yeah. We're still in Australia. We're still a little bit like behind in terms of like, there's a delay.
Yeah.
So like
3 minutes instead of 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, you turn up and you're like, who's this? Everything's weird. You're like, I was watching a video of you before I left home, and now it's all different. You're
Because I remember like you were telling me back in the day when you were working at Monza, where you were saying like back in the day where you would wait like 6-7 months for a magazine, and then you'd have to wait like 6-7 months again for the new issue to catch back up to what they were doing when the first mag came out. And I was just like, man, it's crazy how things have changed.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, I couldn't imagine like it's like there's a reason they call it Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Like instant.
Yeah.
Where back then it's just like you wait 6 months for what they've been doing for the past 6 months.
And that's when you start trying to learn that. Then,
yeah. That's when
so you're already behind the 8 ball. I mean, your generation, it's a blessing and a curse. I mean, I've seen it affect you positively. I mean, you've been able to see exactly what's going on, but I think it's affected you negatively in terms of judging at some comps back in the day. Back in the day in your early comps, because people knew what you were capable of. And I think you got judged on that very harshly from an outsider.
Well, they can have a preconceived sort of opinion of what this guy's capable of, and like if so it's like they kind of, I don't know, make up their mind in their head before the comp, and like he should have done this and this. I've seen him do that. He didn't do that. I'm going to mark him low. Maybe, I don't know. Like
it's weird because you kind of want the judges to judge you accordingly against everyone else on that day, rather than just be like, could have done a bar in that. I've seen him do bars in that on Instagram.
Fully,
But it's not. I don't think it has affected me in the past, like what you said. But it's coming towards now that BMX is in the Olympics. The way they judge it is they judge it accordingly.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, but like we said before about Instagram and how it's affected us positively and negatively, it's very, very true. It's the best thing about the internet is that it connects you to everyone around the world, but the worst thing about the internet is that it connects you with everyone around the world. Like it's
nothing's secret anymore.
It's nothing's a secret, but it's crazy too, because like you'd wait for everyone's tricks to come out in their web videos or come out in like a DVD or something.
Do you have to hold back and not release an edit and not release stuff because if you're going to go to a comp with a banger?
Yeah, I remember that was like Gutler's strategy back in the day, because he was filming a lot. Because I remember back when he was filming a bunch, and I remember like he did like a double whip. That was back when like a double whip into a front flip would win him a contest, and I was like. I remember he was trying triple whips or something, and everyone was like losing their mind. And then Darden came out and did a 3 double whip and beat him. And I was just like, wow. But that was like before Instagram or anything. I think that was when everyone kind of started migrating to Greenville. Yeah. And that's when that secret thing went out of the window and everyone knew what everyone was doing. Yeah. And I feel like they were like the glory days of competition riding in BMX. Like that was when Dutour was big, and that was when Mirra was still riding in Park, and Colin moved to Greenville. Gutler was there, Nick Cooper was there too, and Josh Medey was there tui just went over, just like Australian BMX and Greenville.
It was nuts.
It was crazy. I remember like I think Tui posted a photo the other day of him at the warehouse with like 12 Aussies.
Like, oh shit!
Yeah, in America, with like Baldock, Logan, Dale O'Brien, obviously Tui was in there, Andy was in there, Mini was there, Brett Trigg was there, like all these different people from Australia in America at the same time, and I just thought, wow, that's like crazy to me that like all these people, like not like the best from our country, they were like really, really big up and comers back in the day at that point. But to be all there at the same time, so crazy.
Nearly everyone you mentioned then, you were part of Nitro with.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge thing on these shores and beyond.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, working out what's possible.
Well,
working out what's doable in a comp situation under pressure because you've done it so much on tour.
It's crazy. When I first started doing Nitro, I thought it would help me with competitions because of the big crowd, and when you're ready to, like, you can only go when you're told to go. You can't go when you're ready. But if anything, I think it made it worse.
It's a show, it's not a comp.
Yeah, it made it worse because at the end of the day, for us, when I was riding Nitro, I didn't really feel like a part of the show. I just felt like another monkey on a bike.
Yeah.
And, they'd call my name. They'd be like, all right, Brandon Loupos, Castro, woo. But next up, Travis Pastrana. And everyone's like, wow. And even then, I'd be like, wow. But at the same time, I'm like...
almost like there was a hierarchy. It was
kind of like... I think it was, like we said, a blessing in disguise at the same time with this situation was because I never crashed a show, ever. Damn. Like, it's almost like if I crashed... Like, it's not if I crashed. It was not like when I crashed, if I crashed. Because I think I did... When my first ever Nitro tour was in Europe, and it was in 2012, at the end of 2012. It was their first ever European tour. And I just remember I didn't crash one effing show. Not one show.
And was this the one ramp era when they had like the three?
No, it was just the big ramp.
Yeah,
and it kind of like bit me in the ass a little bit because people would, it's Nitro, people send shit, and when they like land stuff, like when they've been crashing a trick for 5+ shows, and then they land it, it's a party, everyone's like, ah, but then whenever I landed something, they're just like, next. Whatever. Because like I never crashed. Yeah. And then that was when I kind of knew that show riding wasn't for me, because I always wanted, like what I said before, what I said to you earlier, my dream was an X Games gold medal. Yeah. And nothing could have topped that moment. Any show couldn't have topped that want for a gold medal. Sure. So that was, I pretty much just did, not the reason I did Nitro was to get money to go to travel to events, but it funded
your next steps, yeah.
Because I was broke at the time. I remember I had no job, and my dad really helped me out a lot back then. And then Hagen got me onto Dove, who was the athlete manager at the time for Nitro Circus, and he got me on, and we started doing shows, and it was it funded me to go to all these different events, and it was such a good time. Nitro was awesome, but I remember like
you still had your dreams. So
I still like it was crazy because like everyone only rode in the shows. I was the guy that rode the shows, and then I wouldn't put my bike in because they put these bikes in the crates and they send them off to the next show. Yeah. And I would only put my bike in the crate if there was a show somewhere the next day somewhere else. Yeah. If there was somewhere, if we were like on a bus going, if we had like 5 days off, I'd be like, all right, where are we going? Where's the closest skate park? I'm riding. Yeah. And I remember
everyone did pull out of riding comps, didn't they? They just rode Nitro.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird because I kind of did it backwards, where like I went to Nitro, then went to contests, where all these guys kind of went from contest to Nitro. And yeah, it was weird how I did. I don't know why, but I just took the opportunity while I can. And when I went there, it was an experience to ride that big ramp. It was insane. Yeah. But and also meet like some of my heroes, like Chad Kagi back in the day was still on Nitro at the time, and that was awesome. And Travis as well. Travis was there, and yeah, just it was such a good time, man. And I don't regret it whatsoever. But I mean, there's a few times you always have rough times on tour, and you meet some dickheads on tour that ruin it for you. But
plus, you got to spend so much time with them as well.
Yeah, it literally becomes a family. A lot of people just say like, "Oh, Nitro family," but it really is, man. Like everyone just has each other's back, and everyone just like when you see it, it's like a reunion. Like you haven't seen each other for like 10+ years, but it's just like, "Oh man, what's up? Like let's do this. Let's go to the bar. Let's like wreak havoc. Let's do something." Yeah. And that was what Nitro was, but at the same time, like what I said before, it wasn't me. And then when I started doing well at events and contests and stuff, and started kind of migrating away from Nitro and started doing contests, that was when I still didn't really have my place, because at Nitro, like what I said, I wasn't like a show rider. I was landing everything. I didn't feel at place there. And then I started riding like Simple Session, and then started riding all these different like I think I like did a few bowl events here and there.
Everything.
Trying to find my spot somewhere.
When did you work out that yes, you could place in the top echelon? Like which event was it?
Free flow? Was that you started doing?
Yeah, I did free flow, and that was in 2011. But I still felt like I just loved riding my bike. I didn't really like I remember my first triple whip was on I was 18, but I did it on a 21-inch bike where people that do tour are riding 20-inch flat top tubes and like high raised bars, and I had like, dude, I had an Anderson bike set up with brakes, and I'd like.
It's man's bike.
Yeah, man's bike. Yeah.
Love it.
So yeah, that's when I like won free flow, that was still like I always wanted to ride Dew Tour and stuff and get an X Games gold medal and ride X Games, but once I started not figuring out, but when I started trying to find my edge, because everyone has their place in BMX. I feel like, you know, Lewis is the street guy and he does videos and does contests, and you know, there's guys that do the YouTube thing, and then there's guys that, you know, they go in the woods and they dig, and that's what they love to do. I was trying to find that in contests, and I couldn't really find anything until I found Feast. And then when I found Feast, like even Dew Tour back in the day, I was still like, this is like cool, but it still like didn't feel like what I envisioned. I think like everyone kind of like
course you wanted to ride, or do you reckon it was the ramps or just the vibe of the event?
Marbo, the vibe.
I think it was the vibe, yeah, because Dew Tour was like, it was serious, but it wasn't like everyone was still like, I've never been to an event where everyone wanted each other to crash so they could win the event.
Yeah, right.
And Dew Tour was kind of like, and Dew Tour was kind of like that back in the day, where people like other competitors were watching each other, like watching Scotty ride, watching Kyle ride, watching like Daz ride, like, come on, slip a foot, fucking fall over or something.
Instead of being stoked for their buddies.
But I didn't like that.
No,
and like, it's not like they did that. Like, that's the vibe I felt from like the guys underneath them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there was a few guys that were always in the final, like what I said, Daz and Scotty and Kyle, they were always in the final. But then like from like 12th to 8th, there was like 4 randoms. Yeah. And those are the guys that were kind of like, just fall over so I can make finals. Fall over. Like, just that opportunity. And I kind of didn't like that. Yeah. But
it's
then
dog world then, isn't it? It's not bringing up.
No. And I feel like that's when you start tearing not only people down, but yourself. And you tear the sport down with you. And that's what I didn't like about it. I was like, we should be celebrating that he did a double flip on a spine and didn't crash.
That's what's growing BMX.
And then when I found Feast, that was when I found that vibe that Dew Tour had, but in a positive way, where everyone was like,
there probably wasn't the money and the television behind it. I think that'd be a big difference.
I think the difference was the fact that those guys weren't there. Yeah. Like Daz was there and all those guys, but those key guys, there was some guys there that I just didn't like from the start. Yeah. That rode Dew Tour, and when they didn't ride Feast, I was just like, not stoked they weren't there. I'm not going to use those words. Yeah. But I noticed the vibe was definitely different when there wasn't people there just being like super serious and super like wanted it, but at the same time they didn't work for it. They just did what they did and hoped it worked. Yeah. Where like guys like myself and Nick Bruce and Logan Martin and more people to mention just like did what it took. Yeah. And I feel like that's what it comes down to these days, is not being complacent and being like, oh yeah, 3 Super C grabs going to get me in the finals. Because it's at the end of the day, if that guy lands his run in a better run than you, you're not going to make you won't qualify above that dude. And I think that's kind of what made me fall for Feast a little bit, was like everyone wants to beat each other on their best day. Yeah. Where Dew Tour, it was kind of like everyone wanted each other to mess up so they can get a better result. Yeah. Feast is like 12th place guy was praising me.
Now that's a big that's a big shift, and that's where kind of the Olympics come in. I mean the European comps, Feast comps.
Yeah, it's that European vibe.
And I would hear that, and I would hear that from crew who are riding those comps. Those comps, you know, simple session especially. Suddenly you've got these events that people from around the world are flocking to, where the American comps became kind of elitist. Yeah. And there's only a certain crew that are in that clique, and suddenly it's a worldwide vibe of BMX. Yeah. You know, growing up in Australia, yes, America was the be-all and end-all, but I always had a closer affiliation to England, especially. Yeah. Because their scene it felt a lot more similar to ours. And I think a lot of the European countries, all the crew I've met from those countries, are in a similar boat. We aren't from America, but we've got our own thing and we love it. Yeah. And you bring all those people together, and I guess that's what's made the Olympics happen in a way. Yeah. So it's an interesting change. Yeah, that's what I liked most about. I think you just hit the nail on the head on that one, was just the Americans made Dew Tour kind of like what I didn't like about it. They're entitled. Yeah. A lot of crew I've met from America, and I got some good friends over there, but a lot of crew in America think they're entitled to be in a final. Yeah. And that an Australian or a European, why are they here? You know, so I think there is a bit of that
I've heard that story.
comps,
I've heard
you know?
I've heard stuff like that go down before, and I've heard that kind of. I'm not going to say racism because we're all like Caucasian, but when like,
but just an entitlement
that American, like, why is he here?
We're
Like,
BMX and we're American.
Well, I guess America was the center of the BMX universe for so long.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, not that it's related, but, you know, with obviously social media and internet and connectivity between everybody, the world, it's opened up, and it's no longer just America. Like, everyone, like, from all over the world is good, and everyone can see that they're good.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you were in that circle, or that, you know, that if you're in that blip on the radar in America of like, this is the center of the universe, this is all it is, and all of a sudden you've got the blinders on, you're only seeing what's in front of you, and all this, the rest of the world is evolving around the outside of it, and you know, they're kind of getting left behind, like, in a way. Like, it's almost like everyone else has seen a different, it's like looking through a different lens, and then it's building into something much bigger, much just better in terms of just, you know, like, I don't know, like, not necessarily user friendliness, but like, just, it's a better, as a whole, it's just, it's created a thing that's not just this niche,
it's
you know.
bigger.
Yeah.
It's way bigger. I remember Luke Fink saying it to me, going, screw going to America, I'm just going to go to Europe, and he became world champion back in the day.
Prague, was it Prague?
Yeah, he was first Australian world champion in freestyle.
That's so cool.
It's gnarly, but he was like, no, screw America. I'll go to Europe, I'll go to England, I'll ride Australian comps, but I don't want to go to America. And he wanted to make it his way and do it that way, which was interesting.
And he did such a good job doing it too. Like,
he did. Funnily enough, he's in America now drifting, but you know.
Yeah. Luke Fink, I remember watching him ride when I was younger. I remember he
You'd see him at BMX Games.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at BMX Games, and he was in the vert ramp contest with Tim Wood, and he got second, but I think the only thing he did was a foofed bar in on the vert ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't ride vert, he just entered. I think I was on the deck taking photos with my like shitty digital camera at the time. Yeah. And like, I was like, what's Fink in the vert comp for?
Watch that dude ride trails.
and then he just was the fucking man. Yeah.
Dude,
So
shout out to
ride
Luke
anything.
Fink. Yeah.
He needs to come back.
Get him on the head angle. Luke Fink, you're on.
Yes, he's coming.
Yeah. Well, bringing that worldwide vibe, your last 12 months have been phenomenal. You know, I think 2018 was a big year for you.
Yeah, it was probably the biggest year yet, 2018.
But then this year just blew minds. I mean, I sit watching, you know, a streaming of an event, and I'm just watching you throw down huge runs. It looked like your runs as a whole, from start to finish, you must be training your ass off to be able to hold it together for that much time, but you're putting it down every event.
Yeah, no, 2018 was, I would say, would be the biggest year of my life in terms of changes, because that was when I decided to, like, because I've always been, you know, getting, you know, half-assing my BMX career until 2018, because I was trying to make everything work, trying to base everything out of Sydney, trying to ride in Sydney, and just do everything in Sydney, and just travel to and from events from Sydney, when you know, I had Monster to ride and 5-dock and stuff, but what I needed to practice for a park event on wasn't in Sydney, and you know, it was tough, man. And when I moved to America, I when I left, I just came back. I came back to Australia for 3 months because I went to America for a contest, and after the contest, I went to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live now, and I went and stayed with my good friend Brian Fox. He let me crash a room for 2 months.
Does Lee Ram still live there?
He does, yeah. We have the same accountant.
Yes.
And Mark Pelosi as well.
Yeah, Lee.
Yeah. So,
the 401 trail's still there? Is that Doyle's old trails? Is that?
Yes.
Nah, I don't think they're there anymore, yeah.
Okay.
Because they're still, we have Shotgun, and they're at the back of a friend of mine's house, and yeah, they run, they're amazing. Like, there was a jam on there the other day. I wish I went, but back to the subject. When I went to America that time and I moved to America without knowing it, because I've never been in North Carolina besides when I went to Greenville and saw Dave. I never went to Raleigh or anything, but when I went and stayed in Raleigh for 2 months, it was in the winter time, and it was snowing, and it was like completely cold, and furthest weather, everything, you can put all together away from Sydney.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I was just like, just fell in love with riding with Daniel, riding with Brian, riding with Baby Keith and Marin Rantez as well at Daniel's Park.
It's a pretty big crew to ride with.
Yeah, it was huge. And I found that kind of itch that was it. This is what I wanted to do. And I've always had those opportunities where I've been like, I could have moved here and rode this guy every day, but I didn't because I chose to not to do it because I was just too scared to pull the pin to go.
Yeah.
And this is when I moved to Raleigh, I was like, nope, let's do it. Fuck it, let's do it. And I went back to Australia for 3 months, and I stayed on my parents' couch for that 3 months because we live in a real small house, and I'm one of 4, and my sister moved out because she has kids and stuff, and my brother has like the room that we grew up having together. So, and he has a girlfriend and stuff, and she stays in there with him, and I'm obviously not going to sleep in the same bed as my brother. Yeah. And I just remember it was definitely the hardest 3 months of my life because that time I got out of a really long relationship, and then moving on from that to go to America was a real tough transition because ever since I was a kid, my life's been the same, consistent. Like being from Sydney, doing the same things every single day, eating at the same places, seeing the same people, riding the same skate parks, and just like doing the same things. And
it's like being in a comfy lounge.
Yeah, just being.
It's a comfort zone.
Yeah, I was in my comfort zone too much, and I wasn't prevailing at doing it like that. So when America came around, I was just like, this is what I need to do. And then I went back for 3 months and did everything I could to, it was a rough 3 months. Like what I said before, I knocked my teeth out at 5 Dock then. My Instagram got hacked in that 3 months. I was broke because I paid all my money for this visa. And after doing everything to like situate everything, when I moved to America, 3 months later, I got a gold medal at X Games.
Boom.
And
in dirt, no less.
In dirt.
How did you transition to dirt that easy?
I don't know. I remember it was at Newton's Nation. Do you remember Newton's Nation?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good time.
The Bathurst one?
The Bathurst one, yeah. There was 2 of them. I remember Baldock was at one of them, and I won that one. But Baldock, my dad asked Baldock how he rides dirt, because park is like, it's so different to park. And Baldock's like, nah, it's not different at all. And Dad's like, what are you talking about? And Baldock goes, to me, it's just a big box jump.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ever since then, I was just like, box jump. So I started doing all my box jump tricks on the dirt jumps, and I think that I can thank Baldock for that, because without that, I probably wouldn't have got a gold medal. Yeah. But following those 3 months and got that gold medal at X Games and in dirt.
You rode park that year as well, didn't you?
Rode park that year and got 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really.
So
cool.
how did it feel getting into the final of dirt?
It was tough,
when you
man.
focused your whole world on park.
The jumps were, those guys who built the jumps, they did such a great job. So
shout out to Dave King, probably.
Dave King and Adam Eloise.
Yeah.
I think he did it
Dirt
as well.
Sculpt,
Yeah. I think those two did it. And it was just, the jumps are just super easy to ride, where normally the X Games parks aren't, because they designed it for the skateboarders.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to design it where everyone it ticks all the boxes for everyone, skateboarding and BMX, and it's kind of hard, And they've got to cater it for the girl skateboarders too, so the ramps can't be too big or whatever. I'm not sure, but like I can see them being like, okay, how are we going to make it a course where everyone can skate it, ride it, and have fun and have a good show on?
Big compromise. You got to get it right for everybody.
Yeah,
it's
and
a hard thing to pull off.
Where BMX Dirt was just for us, and we had it made specifically for us. And the jumps, like I said, were just super easy to ride, and they had a quarter pipe at the end, and
yeah, you shredded the quarter pipe.
And the quarter pipe was like definitely helped me with my gold medal. And that's what kind of got me my gold medal was the quarter pipe, because I felt like if I did that same run without the quarter pipe, probably wouldn't have won. But
it was your last run that got you the gold, wasn't it? 4th run.
It was 3 runs back then, but
a double flip.
It was they had like a drop in ramp, so you rolled down, and there was like, it wasn't a set, but it was like a kicker into a roll in. I flipped into that, where people were like Logan front flip no-handed it, and the landing was like 20 plus feet tall, and it was like as wide as this table, and it was just plywood. So when you rode down, it was like
yeah, okay.
And then like you hit the first set, and the first set was really big, and you had to push through because the roll-in didn't really give us enough speed to jump the first set. So I have no idea how Logan was doing tricks into this roll-in, landing good, not pedaling, and doing tricks on the first set. So it was like that first set, second set, roller, last set, and then a quarter pipe. Yeah. And the second set was probably the best jump on the course, to me anyway. So, but yeah, it was fun. X Games was, I was having a good time at X Games that year, but
having a good time.
But I tried. It was hard to have a good time that week. I think that really tested my positivity that week, because the week before I was in Canada and my bike got stolen.
You got your bike
That's
stolen.
what I was going to ask you about. That would have messed with your brain.
Oh, it was terrible, man. Like, it was one of my favorite bikes I ever built ever in my life.
So
like,
are you a bit of a nerd with your bikes? Like you like them to look a certain way, and you like to like do you nerd out on parts, and like you choose nice. I mean, obviously you ride good, like you like nice, good quality stuff and everything. Like and that was like, I guess, since you started getting hooked up, and you know, like did you like? I guess you're probably proud of your bikes, and you have a custom paint on that or something.
Well, the rims were custom painted.
Okay.
Like, because when I grew up riding, you could buy different colored rims from different companies. Like, I remember Proper did like
all the anodized colors.
I
had the red ones, man.
Yeah.
I had green ones.
And I think I had chrome ones, I had white ones, I had red ones, and I was like, to me, I just love the look at colored rims. And
did Daly ever hook you up for Proper?
No, I didn't.
Bloody hell, Daly.
It was so crazy when I met Dave. I think I met. It was definitely not the first time I met him, because I met him before. Yeah. But I think he thought it was the first time we met when we were in Melbourne last year for the national championships.
Yeah, okay.
Because he judged, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm Mike. I don't know if you know me." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know you, bro." Like kick ass as well. Like he did Dragonfly and
X Games back in the day.
X Games back in the
First
day.
Australian X Games gold medalist twice.
Wasn't it Shane Smith?
That might have been on the half pipe street course.
Planet X.
Planet X. Yeah.
But Daly did ride San Fran X Games.
Yeah. He did.
One of the first Australian riders to ride.
Yeah,
and all those X trials and all that stuff. You got in props a couple of times on those things. And stuff. Yeah, but Australian version of X Games Planet X, the first two.
Southport.
I rode one
Goldie.
of those too. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I rode the junior one at 5 Dock.
Oh, before the Sydney one, before Sydney Planet X.
I'm not sure, but it wasn't like it was at 5 Dock. It was
like the
5
trial
Dock.
for the.
Yeah, but I got top 3, but they didn't let me ride the actual Planet X games.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. And Tui won it, and then he they put it on TV and everything, and there was like a voiceover when he won. They're like, all the sponsors are going to be knocking at his door, and Tui never got anything out of it.
I think I was doing voiceover for those comps.
It wasn't you. It was a deeper voice. I would
probably had a footy commentator, like doing the deep. Whoa, the sponsor's going to be knocking on his door.
Yeah, well, he said Jai. He didn't say Jay. And you wouldn't have said Jai.
No.
So, there you go. It wasn't you.
No, we just did the big one.
Yeah.
Well, you did all Planet X trials and stuff. I remember watching, before I met you, knowing your voice off Planet X TV, commentating dirt comps at bloody Planet X or whatever.
I remember back in the day you had the dreads, and you worked for Fuel, and you were like doing random bike checks for the BMX games. Yeah. And I remember you did one with Gutler.
Yes.
And Gutler, this is when Gutler first got on Miraco, and he had like Black
Pearl.
Not the Black Pearl.
No.
They called it the Black Pearl, but it wasn't. It was an S&M prototype because the Miraco bikes weren't
So
out
it was the
yet.
LTF, right?
It was like,
S&M
yeah,
LTF.
yeah. And I remember he was like, "Oh, here's the Mirra prototype
LAF,
blend."
sorry, LAF.
No LTF yet.
Yeah, he's like, "This is the Mirra prototype," but like I remember they like zoomed in because he got it custom painted. It was like a creamish green.
Yeah, I remember it.
Something.
He had like white forks.
But they zoomed in on the head tube and it was an S&M.
Coincidentally, that was the first year they did the engraved head tube.
Yeah.
So you couldn't mask it with a paint job, like just you couldn't hide it.
So it was funny because like obviously I can understand, because me being the position I am, I can understand why he said it, but it just looks silly when it backfires on you, like especially.
I mean, if you're a kid at home, you don't know the difference, man. I guess like you're watching it.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I mean, unless you're in tune, but like it's
They're
the
like,
truth
oh,
has just come out though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't hide
it's
no
alright.
more.
It's alright. Gutler doesn't care. You probably won't listen to this anyway.
Not with that attitude.
Maybe. Shout out to Ryan Gutler if you're listening.
That's right.
Let's film some more.
Well, man, like I guess you're on like a couple of waves behind the Gutlers and the Bowens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess, but filling the boots of Australians in that scene in terms of like big comps, prize money. I mean, obviously, kind of between you and that crew, I guess. I mean, Steve McCann was always in there, and Vince Byron's been on the vert ramp, killing it and stuff like that. But I mean, in terms of like placings, I mean, there's Logan, is he the same age as you? Is
he 9 months younger than me?
Okay, so you guys sort of similar time frame for both of you guys, but like, there was a bit of a gap after results of Gutler and Bowen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess Cam and then Kyle.
Well, yeah, of course.
Kyle was more so more recent.
Yeah,
he's probably that wave before you, I guess.
Just before, because it was like, I remember Bowen and Colin were competing against each other, and then Gutler, Cam started competing against each other, and then
Luke Parslow.
Parslow was on dirt. Shout out to Luke Parslow.
I know.
And
catch up with that dude.
And then Kyle was pretty much the only. No, I want to say besides Andy.
Yeah.
The guys riding park from Australia, and then it turned into Logan and I.
Yeah.
That's kind of that generation.
That's Todd Main and Alex Heim, who kind of just went their own way, did their own thing.
Yeah. No, they still crush it though. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do an event to be a good bike rider.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Steering the boat back to you moving to the States full time.
Yeah.
And I guess probably played a big role in your, I guess, successes in 2018 and your, getting settled over there and being amongst that vibe, that caliber of rider every day, and having dudes and ramps to ride every day that are on that level.
Yeah.
I guess you've got, that played a big part in you being, your last 18 months have been ridiculous. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. The
World champion.
Yeah, I know. It's still crazy to say that. Like, it's, I'll drink my cup of water.
That's right.
Yep.
Thank you, John, for the cup of water.
Drug test next week.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll pass. It's the only test I could have passed. I was not that good at school.
Oh.
Roast myself. But but when I moved back to the States, the past 18 months have definitely been really because of America. It's because I've been going there for so long. And I remember I'd go over there for like 1 + 2 months at a time, and I would get real good at Woodward, like start riding real good, and then I'd have to go back to Australia, and then I'd start at square one again, and then wait to go back to America to start doing all my tricks
pause
again.
button almost.
Hit that pause button. Yeah, it's kind of like
you go backwards a bit, I guess.
Yeah,
Don't you?
it's kind of like a BMX not racer, but someone who grew up in the Middle East, like say not Middle East, like in the middle of America where it snows more than it's sunshine, and they only have outside parks to ride, and that it rains and snows 9-10 months of the year, and then when it's summertime they can start riding again.
You gotta play catch up though.
You gotta play. For me, I was just playing catch up a lot, and I was falling behind more than I was getting in front, and something just struck a core in me, and I was just like, I'm sick of putting everything before myself, and I started, once in my life, I just put my best interest first and just said, look, this is what if I want to be what I want to be, this is what I got to do. And you got to sacrifice. You have to be ready to sacrifice literally everything. And that's when I decided to marry my sport. That's when I decided to give everything to BMX and just said, I will give you everything. I want nothing in return, but I want to show you how dedicated I am to give you my best version of me. And then that's when it all planned out. The last 18 months was just giving my all to my sport, my craft, my everything, my training, and the people who truly supported me. I gave it all for that. But at the same time, I wouldn't have done it if I don't love BMX. Like, I wouldn't have done it if I truly wanted to be pro and truly wanted money. I don't think money to me is something that I would have sacrificed that much for.
You get up in the morning and you want to ride.
I get up in the morning and I'm like, all right, this like I have lists, I have notes on my phones of tricks I want to learn when I get back home. So like when I get back to America in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm learning this trick today, I'm learning this trick tomorrow, and that for me, not only learning tricks but getting better as a rider every day helps me progress as a person as well, and that's why I love BMX, and that's why I gave everything to BMX, was just for that sole reason, is just because I just love it so much, and it's given me everything that I have, and I'm so thankful for such a great sport that I can only imagine what it did for me. I can only imagine what it does for other people.
Yeah, and it does that, it does so much for so many people in so many different ways in all walks of life.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking cool that you've sort of acknowledged that, and you're like, okay, now I'm rolling. I'm on this ride, sort of thing, and and I guess you're fortunate enough that you found a place to live, where you felt so at home, and it's just sort of happening. So
yeah,
it's just like it's like the magic, the perfect storm. It's like the potion. It's all just like
it. Yeah, and at the end of the day, back when I was on the outside looking in, and I was like thinking like all this stuff, I need to do this to get this, and I need to do that to achieve this, and at the end of the day, when I just started when I just started wanting to be better on my bike and just make it fun and just try and make it, like, as soon as I started focusing on what I wanted to do to achieve something, that's when everything started falling into place. It wasn't like, back in the day I wanted sponsors and I wanted to start getting paid because I was broke, and when you were broke, you like when you were as broke as I was, when I couldn't afford to eat or afford a train ticket to go ride, you think of stuff like that, and you just think like, fuck it if they call me a sellout, because I want to eat. I'm hungry,
Yeah. Well.
And then at the end of the day, I don't think I'm a sellout, because a sellout is someone who does something they don't like for money, and I love riding BMX.
Word to that, man.
So you put it all on black, everything.
Yeah, put everything on black, and it landed on black.
And then the Olympics get called, and you're going to be representing Australia.
It's looking like it. Yeah, we still have a lot to get on top of America, because Logan finally started catching up to score points for Australia now, so that's really good, because we all know Logan's one of the best to ever do it out of Australia, and he's his levels. He's unreal on a bike, so it's good to have him in the corner, because you need two good riders to qualify points for your country. And I have Logan, and he has me, and we're a good team together. And I think
so. You guys are a team, but you're pretty much head-to-head rivals as well.
I would say yeah, but no at the same time.
Yeah.
Like Logan is. He's out there just like I am. We just want to do the best we possibly can and make the best man win.
It's pretty crazy that there is a team in something called freestyle. You know what I mean? The Australian team, and I guess as a high performance coach, and you're part of this now funded Olympic gold medal dream by Australia, because Australia has a big habit of throwing a lot of money at gold medals.
Yeah.
Have you guys got much backing from Cycling Australia, or how's it? Do you want to fill us in on a little bit how it's working?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think
training you, or are they feeding you, or
I think there needs to be some light on the subject for sure, and I'm glad that you asked that, because a lot of people think negative of the of this, like thinking BMX shouldn't be in the Olympics, there shouldn't be teams, it's individual. But when they talk about teams, they don't talk about multiple people around you telling you what to do. Yeah. A team is like you and your friends at the skate park riding.
Cool.
That's their version of a team. It's I mean, those people might not be riding, but those guys want you to be the best version of you. So if they have some input to make you better, they'll apply it.
Awesome.
And it's like, I guess if you're sick and you need to go to a pharmacy and the pharmacy recommends this, you take it, because that guy's giving you something that's going to make you feel better.
People give you nowadays, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It sucks. It sucks now. It's I think it's good. I think it's good that it's come to the drug testing has come to it, because we didn't really think of it much in BMX, like drugs, like performance enhancing drugs benefiting BMX riders.
Yeah.
But
will CBD oils be tested for?
Aren't they? You can use them, but not at contests.
You've got to get off it in time for the event.
Yeah, I think it's like a week before you have to stop using it.
What if the event's in California?
It's a weird one.
It's
I mean,
wider.
You know, in
it's like world
wider.
Anti-doping.
Yeah, anti-doping.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, years
yeah.
past in cycling, you know, Spain didn't have any. You know, with cycling especially, you could take whatever you wanted if you lived in Spain. You were a pro rider, and you know, like
because the
racing.
Spain.
But then
one,
suddenly they race overseas and they're busted because they're so over the limit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting how that works. I mean, Russia got banned, and it's crazy to see Russia's.
Have you seen Icarus?
Icarus? No.
It's
Dude,
a
that
doco
is off
on
its head.
Netflix, I think.
I think I've heard about it.
It's
Watch it.
about Russian Olympic doping.
Yeah.
It's fucking mental, dude.
Yeah.
Like the government, like it's rad.
So next level.
Yeah.
I heard that like Putin was a part of it, and he was
Dude,
like,
yeah.
and he made it out like that they banned Russia from the Olympics because it was like a conspiracy of America trying to get after him or something. And I was like, shut the fuck up.
The Olympics has always been
Like-
a big political thing. Like if you win more medals, you are a more powerful country. You know, so it's always been a big thing between other countries. You know, Hitler did it with Nazi Germany at the Olympics. You know, just before the Second World War. I mean, the weird thing is the Australian Institute of Sport is based on the Russian and East German way of running a sporting program, which is quite weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the whole like doping thing, I think it sucks that Russia, you know, like Eric and Kostya don't do anything bad. They work so hard, man.
I think I can ride as neutral, I've heard.
Yeah.
And they won't be a Russian athlete, but they'll still be able to ride.
Well, like they can the way it works when you go to the Olympics, when you get a medal, you obviously you earn the medal, but it goes to your country's medal ranking.
Yeah.
Where for Russia, they don't get a medal ranking; the individuals get the medal ranking.
Okay.
So if
start a country, man.
Yeah, I mean the Russians can. You know, the Russians can go as you know, country of Eric Rezev or Kostya Andreev and
International Federation of Shredtopia.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll start it.
Shredtopia.
It's rad.
I'm moving there.
Yeah, that sounds like a great place.
It's rad to see Russia's up there. You know, I mean, like, who would have thought, you know, our growing up in BMX, we just like, Americans are sick. Those dudes from England are pretty rad. There's a few good riders from there.
Dave Mirra's from Canada. Canada's
a few
pretty
Canadians
rad.
are pretty good. A couple of South American dudes shred. You know, some Australian guys are good. New Zealand guys occasionally.
But Russia.
Never thought of Russia. You never thought of any of that part of the world, but they're up there in terms of the best in the world.
Yeah, especially with, like, I've seen, like, not just park riders come out of there, but street riders.
Dudes.
Like, the two
making
brothers.
Bone Death look like kids.
Yeah, the two Russian brothers, they both ride for Monster. And there's a video of one of them. I can't remember. I'm sorry that I don't know your name, but I'm a big fan. He like did a rail ride down like I think it was like 12 near a train station in Russia, and it was like the rail had a kink in it, and it was people walking up and down the stairs and everything, and he just
Didn't give a
Russian
fuck.
style, man, just Russian style, just did it, and I was just so fucking cool,
Right.
you know, and that's to me when I see stuff like that puts that reflection on me again when I was a kid. When I see something I'm stoked on, I'm like, that's fucking BMX, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's a world stage now. I mean, you're going to be representing Australia amongst every country in the world that's in it. I mean, that's not an American comp. It's not like World Series baseball where there's American teams and Japanese team, you know. Like, suddenly BMX got a lot bigger than Huntington Beach and the history of one bike company.
Very, very
it's
true.
Cool as hell.
I think it's so cool, and plus to be the first Olympian to ever represent your sport from your country at its debut in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to overwrite that, whether I win or not. No one's going to overwrite the fact that I was the first one to go for
That's
Australia.
history right there.
Yeah, and with Logan as well, I think is, you know, I believe we're both going to go, and no one's going to, you know, there's going to be years to come where kids are going to be like, yeah, I want to go because Logan and Brandon were the first two to go. And
you quickly became the hero you looked up to. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy that it cycles like that so quick in so few years.
I appreciate you saying that.
Probably trips you out to even think about that, but it's true. You know, like
yeah.
there are definitely kids losing their mind over what you're doing, and it's
that's why I try and give it. I try and give it all back, man. Like, I love everyone who supports me, whether they say negative things to me or not. I feel like if they say negative things, they love me even more. You've
used that to fuel you, I think, over the years.
Yeah, not just that, but I feel like for me, when I'd be insecure at times, and I'd just be like, fuck that guy, like he shouldn't have got that score, or like fuck that guy, he shouldn't have got this many views on his video, or shouldn't have got this sponsor because like he's not that good. Deep down inside, I was jealous. Yeah. And I know when people say
it's a human emotion.
It's a human emotion. It's like it's normal to be like, yeah, like to be like that because you want that, you know, like would you say no to that? No, of course not. You'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna take it. But like for me, when people say bad things about me, like as soon as my World Championship run came out on like Ride UK and like at BMX, like it was just so many negative people. Really? Insane. Like I think there was more negative
on a computer
that sat on a computer and just talked so much shit about me. People that, and it's crazy too because like I guess I know
comments are like foam pits.
They don't count.
They don't.
But at the same time, like
no consequence.
Yeah, it's but at the
So
same
you
time,
can't help but read them and fucking feel a bit.
Yeah.
First law of internet: don't read the comments.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm learning that, but I remember just when I was younger, and that was like I would kind of be around the people that would make those comments about guys in that position, and they would talk about like they've known them. And I remember talking to one person when I was younger. I can't remember his name, but he was like talking shit about like I think Gula or Colin or someone Australian that was in America. Like fuck that guy, like he's no good. Like, and I was just like.
Clearly he's good.
No, not only he's good, but he was like saying stuff like he's like they were just I can't remember who it was, but he was just like he's an asshole, like he's this, he's that, like he's a bad person. I'm like, oh, have you met him? He's like, no, I don't need to. Like I can read people, and I know I'm in that position now where people are like calling me assholes that I've never met, and say that like I'm an asshole and I'm fake or this, that, and the other that have never laid an eye on me.
Wade Boots in your corner, man. He'll sort him out.
Dude, yeah. Call Wade. No, I won't call Wade. I won't call Wade. Who do I call?
Swade.
Ghostbusters. I'll call Ghostbusters.
Yes.
But can we go back to your World Championship run for a second?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this before, rewinding a few years before anyone had landed 1080s. There was a thing. It might have been in Ride. It was in a mag, and they had a thing like. The 1080 has to happen soon. Someone's going to do it soon. Who's going to be the first? There was like a reader poll. It was like, it's going to be Nyquist. Is it going to be Kevin Porter was in the mix.
Dude, yeah, true.
And like, your run, you did a fucking 1080 like you had your eyes closed and you were on a Hawaiian island with your feet up like Scott Morrison, having a fucking, drinking a Mai Tai, having a relax. That 1080 was retarded. It was so fucking good. And I watched that run again today, just kind of getting myself mentally prepped for having a chat with you and stuff, and I noticed you rode to 50 Cent's What Up Gangster.
yeah.
I'm like, I hope that's a nod to Edwin's section of the Animal video back in the day, because I mean I thought 50 Cent was a no talent sack of shit, and then Edwin brings that section out and I was like, I like that song is now on my Spotify playlist at work. And I was like, yes, this got me smiling, and then like I was like, holy shit, I'm actually focusing on like everything was outrageously smooth, dialed, and like fucking hell, man, like
thank you.
Well done.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say something about the music, because when I was in Hiroshima early in the year in Japan, when I won that too, I rode to the same song.
Okay.
And when I was younger, I did watch Edwin's Animal Pie, and
Can I Eat?
Cannot Eat, yeah. And it had that song in it, and I remember just watching it, like, just being like, yeah, like Edwin's such a badass, like.
It was like
riding,
poetry. It was smooth, but it was beasty and badass and like.
I feel like I heard he was the first American BMX rider to ride for Red Bull, something like that.
Yeah, right.
But like that says something. But anyway, back to the song. I was like, when it pretty much like it was weird how it happened. Like I watched Edwin's playlist, Edwin's video when I was a kid, and then I never listened to the song until Hiroshima, because I crashed my first run, and when I crashed my first run, I was really, really like just bummed. I just was like,
what were you listening to?
In my first run, I don't know. I can't really hear. I didn't really listen to what was playing.
Don't ever listen to that again.
Yeah.
Over.
But I remember, dude. I was sitting up there waiting for my second run, and I was getting ready to go, but I wasn't like, I just didn't have that like I remember Edwin's video. He was really powerful. Just like he kind of matched the song. Like when you think about 50 Cent, like when you watch his movie Get Rich or Die Trying, he was a dude that literally like nearly died and came back and conquered the world. And when I see Edwin ride, he has that power where he's just like stamps his front peg and into the ledge, jumps out like 5 feet up and does a really sick looking 180. Like Smith 180 just looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Like just has that
powerful
style.
But pretty
powerful. You know, powerful riding style. And that was and the song reminded me of Edwin's video because it was like powerful, not just the song but the riding as well. And I was getting ready for my second run in Hiroshima, and then when because I was right next to the DJ desk where I was dropping in, I was right next to the DJ desk and the judges, and I remember I was like getting ready to drop in, and then I just hear that song, and I'm like, turn, like if you watch like my before I drop in, I'm like, turn the fucking song up,
nice.
And then the song just goes boom, 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 and then that was when I not thought I was Edwin, but I was like, let's have that power. That same song, same writing style, adapt it to what I need to do now. And that's what happened. I feel like, you know, after that run, it wasn't like after I did that run, it matched, that song matched that run, because not just Hiroshima, but the World Championships as well. Like it was powerful. It was like, I'm not complimenting myself. I'm just saying that
you're allowed to.
I
you won
was,
the World Championship.
I'm not going to compliment myself and say it was powerful, but I'm going to say that I was just like, I remember I was just beating my chest, just like let's go, let's like just get ready. And then when I landed that run, I dropped it. Not after I landed the run, but before I dropped in, I was just so ready, man. Like nothing in the world mattered besides landing that run. Like I remember just praying to God, just being like, just let me get through my run. Just please let me get through my run. Please, please, please. I'll do whatever. I'll do anything. I want this more than anything right now. And you know, I believe it. I believe it in God. You know, I feel like you have to believe in something bigger than yourself to get through life a little bit. And I definitely believe He helped me. But you know, at the end of that run, I was just like, it wasn't like I was stoked. I was definitely stoked, but I was more relieved.
Okay.
Like because the year before I got bronze, and I heard right after, because we always have dinner after the event, and after the event, a judge came up to me and was like, "Hey, because when I got bronze with a flare whip with a slip foot at the end."
Right. Okay.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" And then the judge came up to me and was like, "Hey, like, you're 4 points behind the leader, and a foot deduction is 5 points."
Oh shit! Okay, so
and I would have won if I didn't slip that foot.
They had to break it all down into everything's got a point score.
And I guess that's how they have to do it to make it fair.
They were going to base it on ice skating. You know, in the beginning when I was talking to them about it, they were going, okay, we have to make
criteria
like ice skating, and an ice skater will go, hey, I'm going to do a triple spinneroonie with a slice and dice thing. You know what I mean? But they'll tell the judges what their run is. And then they'll get judged based upon
the execution,
on each of those tricks. And they were going to do that with BMX on half pipe. Then they changed it a bit when it went to park. But everything's got a score. That's pretty much how it went, And you shouldn't have to think about that as a rider, I don't think.
I mean, it's not like you have to tell the judges your run and go from there.
No, but like to have to go... I mean, you know you're going to have to go bang, bang, bang and descend it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is now. That's just the sport now.
It's a pressure cooker.
It is, But I think
I'm stoked on that insight you've given us about a song can clear it all out. Because
I was like, just really just going back to that, I was just doubting myself. I was just like, oh, fuck it, like, second run, let's go. But then when I heard that song, I was just like, no, let's go. And I just dropped in and did my run. And when I landed my run, I was, relieved. But going back to the bronze medal, I was just like, so I was like, stoked I got bronze. But then when I heard that,
you don't even want to
no, I don't want to hear that. As soon as I heard that, I was just like,
screw that dude.
As soon as I heard that, I was just like, I wasn't like, screw that dude. I was just like, my goal's next year to win.
You're gonna shred yourself.
And then I remember that day, I was just like ever since that day, I was just like, my goal is to be a world champion. And then, 365 days later, it happened. And it's crazy. But now we're talking a lot about trying to bring it to Australia next year for 2020. So that's really cool. Try and give Australian BMX riders an opportunity to ride
a UCI
an international
event, an international world championship.
Yeah,
event.
something like that, World Cup, World Championship, and try and bring it to Australia so we can try and give back to Australia, and also try and do more for BMX in Australia. Like, I've been doing a lot of media. Like, I've been on Channel 9 twice, which is really crazy. But and was on Fox Sports, and talking about BMX is something that I want everyone to know about. Is like this, like, everyone in Australia has a bike, whether they jump off curbs and they ride to work or ride to school.
BMX is such a staple part of growing up.
Dude, in Australia, it's insane because it's a lifestyle in Australia. Because I remember when I was younger, I would just ride around with my friends just in the streets as kids, like mountain bikes, BMX. You didn't know the difference.
Just a bike.
It was just a bike, but you just jump it and you just think that's so cool.
You just get home before dark. That's all your parents would say.
And it just try and give that back to Australia in BMX as well, because I feel like we're just all slaves to technology at the day. If you're not on your phone, you're bored, and I want to be able to provide some hope for kids to be able to be like,
to engage with real people in real situations.
Real people, real situations. Go out and get dirty and get down with it, and do something positive, because BMX I believe is the greatest sport ever. Not because it's my opinion, but because it's a hand-eye coordination sport it's a whole body sport, but it's individual, and that's why I love it. It's not about
even further, man. I would take it even further, that if you can apply your head to do a 1080, what in life isn't there that you can't achieve if you can focus to pull that?
Yeah, your bike is your tool to get to your goal. Yeah. Whether it's to jump a certain distance, or to ride a certain skate park, or to jump a certain jump, or land a certain trick. Like, the bike's going to do whatever you want it to do. There's no reason why it won't. Yeah. It's all up to you. And that's why I think BMX is such a good sport, because it gives us that opportunity to really identify that stuff and and set goals and achieve them.
Well, I don't think there's no one in this room who hasn't got BMX to thank for basically shaping our entire lives and taking us to places we never would have gone before, in terms of travel or just career, or learning new skills outside of BMX. Even like, BMX is such a foundation that we've all learnt
everything
from, like, to adapt. We've learnt from BMX into real life situations or whatever, and we're all I think BMX doesn't owe you shit. We all owe.
Dude,
we all owe
BMX. Yes.
We all owe BMX
everything.
A round of beers, at least,
Yes,
so,
I agree. Yes, it's so crazy when I hear people like saying like, I'm good at this sport, or I'm like, not just BMX, but I hear it in like, oh, I'm good enough, I'm better than this guy, and this guy has this, like, and this, why does this guy have this and I don't have it when I'm better? And I'm just like, the sport doesn't owe you shit just because of how good you are. Like, look at your personality, man. Like, I know 100% now that it's from growing up. I thought if you're a good BMX rider, you'd make it, but it's those guys who are good. It's not, anyone can be good on a bike.
Yeah.
It comes down to who wants to work with who. Like, I'm fortunate enough to be sponsored by a Rockstar, and they wanted to work with me, and because they could have picked hundreds of other people, but they chose me because I got along with them and they liked me, and I was doing the events they liked, and they supported me, and they saw a future in me, and I am beyond thankful for that. And same with Hyper. My signature frame with Hyper, the Lunatic frame, is dropping in a couple months' time. I was
going to say, because you've been riding Logan's frame.
No, I rode Logan's frame when I first joined the team, and then because Logan's he's smaller than I am.
Yeah. Okay.
So the top tube was not what I wanted, but I went to the Wizard frame, which is a bit lower than Logan's frame, but it's a longer top tube. It was a 20.8, and that's what I've been riding for the past 18 months. So then, but I rode my signature frame for the first time a couple of days ago at Menai.
It's gonna be a good feeling.
Fuck yeah! So you're on a prototype.
Yeah, right now we're on a prototype. It's called the Lunatic frame. It's only coming out on one size. It's only
What's
coming
the
out.
geo?
It's going to be a 20.8 top tube, 75-degree head tube angle. I think the chains, the bottom bracket height is 11,675. Something really, really specific.
Yeah.
The standover height is 8.5, and then the rear end is 13 slammed.
Sweet.
So
The
it'll be
crazy thing is, you're now an adult who's taller than most. You're what, 6 foot something, and your signature frame is still shorter than your Dave Mirra, your first Dave Mirra 21-inch top tube.
Yeah, exactly right.
And you're learning how to do tricks when you're a little kid on this long ass bike, and now you can have any geometry you want, and you're still making it shorter than that.
Well, I have a 53mm stem now, so it's pretty much a 21-inch top tube.
Okay.
So, but dude, it feels like a limo compared to my last bike. But I love it because it feels so stable underneath me. Like I can really like feel comfortable doing alley-oops and travel over hips and stuff. Where before I would like be kind of shaky in the air. When now like I feel like I'm more in the bike.
Okay.
And I love that feeling of being in control and feeling nice and smooth and like having that kind of finesse. You know?
Cool.
And I haven't had that feeling since I was buying frames from back in the day. Because back in the day you'd buy frames and because you wanted to ride that frame. Where, you know, I'm not saying I'm very thankful for the frames they give me. It was just like, you know, it was either Logan's frame or this frame, and I had to pick. I couldn't go and buy a frame, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to pick what I had to pick, and I'm thankful for it. And I'm so glad that now I get to design my own frame and make it how I want it. And I hope everyone else likes it, that buys it, and continues to buy more.
That rules, dude. I had no idea you're getting a signature frame.
It will.
Congrats.
It's been in the works for a little bit. We're currently working on colors right now. I'm thinking about cancelling out black.
Okay.
Not having black frames.
Where every frame comes in a black and another color,
But
so
that's right, bro.
do
Get
something
on.
different.
Yeah, just because Hyper do a really, really cool looking raw.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about doing a raw and a trans blue because the black I won the World Championships on was on a blue frame.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm going to think about doing raw and trans blue because they're the two colors I only rode in this year. I was about to say last year, but
Still this year. We've got a couple of days left.
yeah, got a couple of days. Yeah, in 2019 I rode a raw frame. I rode a black frame as well, but it wasn't brand new. And then I got a frame painted for Worlds. So
What about a custom paint job for Olympics?
You know what? I was going to go for the green and gold.
Do something different.
But I heard all these crazy stories of athletes getting gold objects in the Olympics and jinxing themselves pretty much.
Yeah.
Like they'd be like, you know, gold hubs, gold bar ends, gold something.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I believe I can win. I'm going to have the gold. And I feel like if I went to the Olympics with gold on my bike, I'd be jinxing myself.
Yeah, true.
So now my I think I might do the same from Worlds, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not going to think that far ahead. At the end of the day, if it works, and we'll just use that.
Oh yeah.
So, but I'd love to do the green and gold. I think it'll look cool. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do it after the Olympics. But yeah, we're talking about doing something cool for the Olympics, like some sort of different jet fuel thing, but green and gold.
Yeah.
But and like we're talking about doing seats and stuff for the Olympics, so that'd be really cool. But you know, there's so many different possibilities. I'm so stoked that Hyper and Snafu are real behind this Olympic movement,
Of course, yeah.
and they're behind Australia as well. So it's like it's obviously Logan and I, like we both ride for them and we're Australian, so hopefully we can put something out there for all the Australians to enjoy and really back it as well.
Yeah. So in the lead up to the Olympics, in the next few months, what's the plan for you? What's on the cards? How much are you training?
Well, I go back to America on the 8th,
Okay.
and I'll be at home in North Carolina for a little under a month, getting ready for Simple Session.
Are you living in Daniel DeHer's place?
Yeah, I don't live with him. He's my landlord.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, I don't live. A lot of people think I live with him. People ask me like, "Oh, what does he like to live with?" Because I said I lived in his house.
Yeah.
But no, he's my landlord. So
Gotcha.
Live in a house he owns. But
I live in a house. he
Rental
owns.
inspection.
Yeah. He'll just come in and just be like, "Oh, this feels like more like a house than mine."
There's a bike in the living.
Yeah.
I should get away with that. I won't get away with that.
Fucking tire marks on the wall, man.
That's right.
Dude, my chick is so like OCD about that stuff.
Okay.
Like I feel like if I was a tenant if my chick was a landlord and I was a tenant, I'd hate life.
Yeah.
Like my girlfriend is so OCD with everything. Like I was talking about hanging up my the frame I want X Games on. I was talking about hanging that on the wall, just the frame.
That should be on the wall.
And she was just like, no, you're gonna get the wall dirty. You're gonna get this, that, and I was just so like, what the heck? And then I won Worlds.
I'll ring the landlord. Chill.
I'll ring the landlord.
We'll get his okay.
Yeah. I should have just said that, but but then when I won Worlds, I was like, I don't give a fuck what you say. We're hanging the bike on the wall.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay.
Well, doesn't Bestwick has every time he wins a medal or a gold or something, he has the complete bike.
Yeah, he hangs it on
they're
the wall,
all, and it looks crazy. It looks so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I think I definitely got the idea from him because it looked cool because he has the bike and then the medal and I think the helmet he wore as well. And then it was like just racks and racks and racks. And I was just like, that looks so cool. Hopefully I can imitate that same thing, you know.
You got to build a house for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if he definitely owns his house, but I don't know if he bought the house the way it is or built it. Because my dream is to obviously like own a house, but it would be so cool to buy a block of land and then just design the house yourself.
Yeah, around a park.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
Or one of the warehouse where you would, roll out of your bed and then you just drop in. Phone upstairs.
Dreams come true.
I know. I'm working on it.
Dreams come true.
I mean, training wise, like, have you got a regime like you're working with the Australian Institute of Sport or?
I do my own thing and they just back it.
Okay.
And I think that's the best thing for us as BMX freestyle athletes is like this is what works. Because at the end of the day, not the same thing doesn't work for everyone.
No.
And I think that's our advantage.
Trying to tell the Institute of Sport and the cycling industry, or the cycling bodies, with the initial talks about the Olympics back in early 2000s.
Yeah.
Trying to explain to them that freestyle isn't track riding. It's not road cycling.
Yeah, it's its own animal.
Hopefully we bash that through their heads a bit.
Oh, yeah, we definitely did. We've had meetings with him and Logan did a good job getting that point across as well in the early stages. And we, now they back us 100% in whatever we want to do.
Are they funding you to go ride the fires comps or anything?
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah, they pay for all they just pay for this year they just paid for the flights. Okay. Where Team USA and
Team
GB.
With you?
Nah,
the chef.
No,
dude, hit him up.
dude. Team GB does stuff like that.
Yeah,
they bring over masseuses and
get them onto it.
Yeah,
you want a chef making you whatever you want.
That'd be awesome, but I don't think that's gonna happen, unfortunately.
Why not, man? They put a lot of money into swimming, rowing, etc. If you look at the budgets they spend on those Olympic sports per medal they get.
I heard it's insane. Yeah.
Hey, we've got a pretty good chance at gold medals, so we should be getting this.
I think that's going to be the tipping point.
It will.
Is being like, we're the two guys that could bring. One of us is going to bring the gold home to Australia, And if we were to put that towards them, they would definitely. They wouldn't say no straight away. They'd just be like, okay, it's a good idea. As long as we have something to back up, be like, I just don't feel safe about eating the food here because in China everything is the guys in China that grow chickens and stuff. Yeah. They grow full size chicken from the egg from I think 10 days or 2 weeks. Because they just pump it. They just pump it with steroids. They just pump it with steroids. Yeah. And we got a warning email from UCI and WADA saying that we couldn't eat the beef while we're in China because it's got a certain steroid in the beef from the cows being over dosed up and stuff. And that's why I think that could work is we bring a chef and be like, bring all the ingredients from Australia, bring everything from Australia and cook it for us.
Hell yeah.
But we could probably get away with that. I'm definitely going to put that forward and see if we can do that. I'm going to be like, I want this and I want this. And
future generations of freestyle Olympians can thank you.
Well, the best thing about this is the fact that we're paving the way for the younger kids, and the way we're paving it is it's going to be all up to the athlete. It's not going to be a training regime and you follow said rules and you follow said everything structured like this. We're setting it up to where like, dude, like one kid could be completely vegan and eat just plant-based stuff and grass and stuff, and one kid could be like, no offense to the vegans,
None taken.
You're vegan, dude. I want to try it. Not gonna lie, I want to try it.
Easy.
Yeah, but
we could. It's very easy.
Yeah. But it's like you could be plant-based stuff, and the other kid could just want Cocoa Pops, steak, chicken, all that, and like just day and night when it comes to diets. And if it works for him, it works for him. If it's going to make him ride better, it's going to make him ride better. Because if they ride better, they win. If they win, then there's more points for Australia to go to the Olympics. And then that's more potential for medals for our country, more skate parks being built, more money being added towards the sport, and more grassroots programs, which means more bikes being sold and more kids being psyched on BMX. And I feel like that's going to be, these little fine details define such a big everything for our sport right now, and that's why we're structuring it to where, like, for me, I love eggs. That's probably the tipping point for me when I try and go vegan, is giving up eggs and honey and stuff like that. And because I wake up and have scrambled eggs every single morning, but that can be easily changed.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
We'll show you a tofu scramble, dude.
Yeah, tofu scramble.
It can be done.
Yeah, we'll take you to Petty Cash Cafe just down the road.
Yeah.
Insane.
Dude, I'm so keen.
Tofu scramble.
I have the Happy Cow app.
Oh, right, yeah. That helps.
Yeah.
That helped me big time in South America.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, was the transition hard for you?
Not really, man. I mean, I was always lactose intolerant, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've been afraid of milk and dairy my whole life, so like it was more or less giving up meat and eggs. And I didn't beat myself up about it, and just, like, it wasn't like I dropped everything and did it. I just cut one thing at a time, and I mean, I did it pretty quick, I guess, but again, like, 2019, you've got your smartphone in your pocket, you can Google stuff, ingredients, and it's pretty easy.
You just got to take your time with it. Don't go snap cold turkey into. That's hilarious.
That's when you set yourself up to fail.
Yeah. But just, you have to learn about the foods you're eating.
Yeah,
and
exactly right.
About what you're taking in, and I think you'll have nutrition.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go talk to a nutritionist next week about it.
The crew from the Olympic Committee should have someone for you.
Yeah, but I'm sponsored by a private institute of sport as well.
Awesome.
Well, I'm sponsored by two of them.
Gotcha.
I'm on N-Swiss and Precision Athletica.
Okay, wow.
So
awesome.
they both have their dietitians.
Yes.
But I'm seeing the Precision
Learn
one.
Learn everything you can.
Learn everything, yeah. But one thing I learned about switching to plant-based diet is the fact that I'll be eating more, because they have less calories in the meals in plant-based. Because obviously it's cleaner. There's not much junk in it, and that's what I definitely will not have a problem with, because I eat like there's no tomorrow.
You just get to eat a heap more good food.
I just love eating it, but I feel like what you said before, like, you're lactose intolerant. I don't eat dairy either, so for me, like, when I have my coffee, no milk, no sugar.
Halfway there, dude.
And no cheese or anything, and no sour cream, no nothing like that. And I think for me now is just to give up the fact of not eating meat would be just that's it. So.
Dude, man, Carl Lewis, how many gold medals did he win at LA Olympics? Vegan?
Yeah. Wasn't he one of the first vegan athletes besides him in some mountain runner?
Gold medals, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think back in the old days, like thousands of years ago, I think some gladiators were vegan.
I heard they were vegetarian, not vegan.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I watched that movie too.
Yeah, right.
Because I wanted to hate the facts about that movie.
Was it Game Changers, that one?
Changers,
yeah, okay.
I have a friend of mine that's vegan, and he was not stoked on the information that they put in about the vegan diet benefiting athletes in certain areas more than others.
Okay.
He just said the information was wrong, like about the B12, like, vitamin is like not as common as they made it out to be in the movie and stuff like that. He just and
smash mushrooms, man, you'll be sorted.
Dude, I love mushrooms, no problem.
Yeah, easy then. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to. I want to try and be vegan, but I heard like I have friends of mine that had a really really rough transition, going from just being carnivores to being vegan. And
a lot of people get sick when they.
A lot of people get sick, and that mental.
Stuff.
My friend had he had like mental stuff going on, and and anxiety problems about it. And I mean, I don't know, but it's gonna definitely. I'm definitely eager to try it, because I definitely feel like every time I go to China, I don't eat meat for the 2 weeks, and I feel so good when I come back home, and I'm like. Why do I want to stop this feeling? Just
That's
because,
positive, yeah.
Yeah. Why do I want to stop like feeling good just because of the urge of it being there? I could just say no. And one thing that I noticed is because I only started eating meat for lunch now, like because it's so easy just to be like Subway and get chicken teriyaki or something. But always in the like I don't eat eggs in the morning anymore. I started eating crumpets, and obviously it's not that much better, but it's not like. It's not animal products,
yeah.
And at dinner I'll just have chips, like potatoes and stuff, mashed potatoes, but I noticed
a lot more veggies, man. You're gonna get the gold medal, dude.
I love veggies though. I love veggies. My family don't though.
Yeah, right. Okay. I just when you go out and eat lunch or whatever, just keep your mind a bit more aware, and just if there's an option that's a non-meat option or a vegan option, I guess, just check it out, consider it, and just try it maybe now and again.
Yeah.
Like don't rush, and don't just.
No, I'm gonna slowly ease my way into it. I think I'll start having, like what I said before about having meat for lunch most days, and then having instead of having meat 7 days for lunch 7 days a week, cut down to 5, and then go to 3, and then maybe once a week for like a month, and then like.
Well, it's better to do it slowly like that, and to be able to keep it up, than to go like cut everything out in one hit and then get sick or just get stressed over it, and then you go fuck it, and then you go back, you just push it aside.
When I was a kid, my auntie said it took 7 years to go from being a meat eater to veg, and then another 7 to go vegan if you're gonna do it healthily.
Yeah, okay.
Really?
She was gnarly. She was gnarly.
Dude, it's so crazy.
She taught me a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
So what else is in training wise aside diet? Or
are
you training hard? Because the runs you're putting together, you're obviously a lot bigger than you used to be. Like, are you training outside of just riding?
Yeah, I go to the gym 2 or 3 hours a day.
Gotcha.
But it's my a lot of people think that the gym's going to help you ride, which I don't think it does. I just think it helps you be fitter, and it gives you more, another outlet, like another paintbrush, as you will, to benefit your health, which will transition to your riding as well. Like it's for me, doing squats and deadlifts and all that won't make me do a 1080 on my
No, I mean, you're like pushing into a 12-foot transition, easy, close to 60, and going 10 foot out.
Yeah.
You need some strength to do that. You can't do that when you're little. I mean, Cam White said it to me, like we were saying before.
Yeah.
When he was a kid, I remember him at Gungahlin, skinnier than me, and then he got big, and he's winning gravity games. And he got really big, and he's like, I can hit the ground and get back up and keep riding.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Is to be big enough to not be too big, but you also want pretty much the ideal training thing or training resume for, if you will, for me, is power.
Yeah.
Like you want to be powerful. Like, I mean, I'll have 5-minute rests in between sets, but as long as I hit the correct RPMs every single time, then it's all about power, because you get obviously towards the end, because a minute on the course is a long time.
You look like a racer. Some of the runs I've seen you do this year, you're pumping through sections. I'm like, holy crap! I didn't think you raced.
So, it's crazy you say that. Someone asked me. Yeah, someone asked me. They were like, "It's so crazy you say that," because people are like, "Oh, he used to race, and I can tell he used to be a racer because of his pump." But I never raced.
I didn't think you raced.
Never raced.
So you had to learn how to pump Engadine. There's no transition. It's all kinked, and you had to learn how to carry speed somehow, right?
Yeah, I think my pump came from riding trails.
Okay.
Because obviously, like, you can't get it from.
It's not as fast as.
It's concrete. Not as fast as concrete, and obviously when when I grew up riding, it was just dirt. I rode skate parks, but I'd meet my friends at the skate park, and then we'd be like, all right, let's go dig or go ride here, and we always had local jumps around the house, around where I lived. But yeah, it was always been dirt, and I've always had that like land pump in, jump out, land pump in, jump out, and that really transitioned into my park riding. Yeah. When I'd land stuff and I'd have that pump to have something for the next wall, like 1080, land, double flip, land, front flip, land.
I'm stoked to see you throwing some look backs and some old school style in the middle of your runs. You've got all the bangers, to see you not just dead air, you know, a line or a hip to get speed for the next bit, but to throw some old school tricks with classic style. And I think as you've grown, you've developed some style alongside the bangers, and that's really...
Yeah, thank you.
Well, case in point, I mean, Van's bowl comp, I mean, that's another sort of topic, but I mean, the Sydney 5-dock, you didn't ride this year?
I did, yeah.
You did this year? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was last year. 2018 was the first time at 5-dock.
Yeah.
I was in the comp as well.
Yeah.
And I remember... Obviously, it's a gnarly, you know, Larry Edgar, you've got Sergio, like the style bosses, like, you know, and that 45 hip in, you know, the main bowl, you popped this invert. It was straight up and down. It was over everyone's head. And I remember sitting there being like that was up there with one of the coolest things I've ever seen on a bike. I mean, I'm a tabletop fan. You know, love.
Thank you.
I think I may have fist bumped you afterwards or whatever. And
you can fist bump me now.
Yeah. Dude, but like it was cool because you were pumped that I was pumped, and it was like, you know, you can do ridiculous things on a bike, but like that, and everyone who was sitting there was like, "Fuck, see, Loupos is fucking cheat," and then you were as high or higher than most people that day.
Yeah,
and I mean, it was fucking You definitely, you know, you've developed your own thing, but like you can still bust out the simplest, best, you know, one of the tricks that feels the best. You know, I think the tabletop is saying that everybody who rides a BMX bike knows the feeling of or can relate to, and like you can be like, oof.
If you
stomp if
you stomp a big one in Tokyo on worldwide TV and there's this 14-foot invert, just blow people's minds.
Yeah, I feel like
amazing.
You can't not be happy.
Teach the future generations that is still the defining part.
Yeah, I think that like hopefully there's a quarter before the box, like a 10-foot wall or something, because in China
speed.
You can air the quarter pipe, like it's not a vert wall, and then the box it's a quarter pipe. I really hope there's one, because I remember China one year, Sandoval did like an invert like 12, 13 feet out, and then did a truck down up on the box, but the invert was just like the highlight of the whole weekend.
Rad.
It was just boom.
Well, you guys talking about power, like a powerful one of those is gorgeous.
Yeah, I feel like you can overdo an invert sometimes though.
Well, yeah, I mean, and everyone does them differently, but like, you know, when you've got a good one that just looks like it's like they meant that shit, you know, like,
like,
you know,
I feel like there's when I was younger and watching some riders grow up, and they obviously wanted that Mike Aiken, they wanted that invert where you just held it and just
no one can have that.
No one can have that, you know. But then there'd be people I know that would do inverts like 3 feet out, but it'd be on their back, but then they'd land back were heavy, tap the brakes like to me, I think that's not like an invert I don't want my inverts to look like that. To me it looked hideous, so I wanted my inverts to be like up there with everyone else.
Well, it's rather you're conscious of that, because I mean so many people with, I mean, not to stereotype, but you know, like, you know, the park style riding comps that you're in, a lot of it's about the numbers of trick, and how many whips, how many flips, you know, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool that you're conscious of how your form of doing things, you know, to quote Taj, you know, like the form of like, you know, like a nice tabletop, for example, like, you know, like to see one that's done with a person is thinking about how it looks, how it feels, as opposed to just get the trick done, bam, you know, like, and that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about was with the Vans bowl comp, how, you know, like, most like the vibe of the riding, like the you know, like I don't know what term you'd use, but you know, like kind of soul riding, you know, like whatever, like, you know, like bowl style is different to what your FIS and UCI Olympics comp style riding is.
Dude, so
but
different.
The thing is, like the majority of the people at that comp riding have, you know, they come from a different, I guess, element within BMX to what you're competing in on your regular basis, but you slipped right in there and made it work, and everyone was stoked, and it was fucking cool, man. Like, I mean, what do you think about? I mean, you look like you're enjoying yourself. Like those, I mean, it's a different playing field to the UCI and all that sort of stuff. Like, and it looked like you're having fun.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to ride that event at the start.
Okay.
I didn't want to ride 5 Dock because I just won Hiroshima that year, and I didn't want to get hurt coming into France because France was 2 weeks after 5 Dock, and
Right.
I just pretty much just didn't want to ride just because I just didn't want to risk an injury, but I remember like because Scotty was there and my good friend Angie Marino was there too, and she was like, "Come on, you grew up riding this park. Like 5 Dock's 50 an hour away from where I grew up, but I rode there enough to kind of ride it like it was my local."
Yeah.
So, I mean, take the opportunity while you can, and so I did. But I went into the event knowing that it was 1 out of a million chances I could win, and I mean everyone who goes into a competition wants to win, but that was the first time in my life I ever went into a contest and just not only accepted defeat, but I was just like, I don't really care if I don't make finals. I don't care if these people... I mean, I felt like I was being judged as I was riding. That's why I didn't really ride practice that Vans Pro Cup, because I was just like scared for some reason. But when I like what I was going back to what I was saying before, was I was like kind of accepting the defeat because I just knew that that wasn't me. Like that contest didn't fit like my genre of riding. So I just went into it and was just like, I'm just going to go ride it like I normally do and not do anything. Like I'm not going to do 900s and 5 flares and flare whips and all the crazy tricks, circus tricks that a lot of people know me for. Olympic tricks that a lot of people know me for. So I just went in and just was like, okay, one thing I wanted to do in my run was blast an invert on that hit. That's all I wanted to do. And then I'll just wing it for the rest of the run.
Okay.
And it's crazy because I did that the first year and I was just having so much fun, man, because it was different, man. Like it wasn't like a UCI Olympic trial event. People didn't care about that. They just wanted to see something cool on a bike. They didn't care who you were. Where like Feast is not like that. Feast, the vibe at Feast is really welcoming, really cool. But this is just completely a whole different animal. And I think me riding those events really gave me that like fresh spark again in my riding to crank an invert and have some and do stuff that not only felt good but made me happy. It wasn't necessarily something that I had to do to get a good score. It was just like go out and just have fun and see what happens.
So you were smiling, and that's always good to see. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think and not a single person there was bummed you were there. Like it was, the hardest of the hardcore critics or whoever the hell they are, whatever. But I don't know, man. Like it was fucking cool to see. So
thank you. No, it was rad. I definitely think back to that day, and I think that day changed me forever. Because I always wanted to be a pro BMX rider, and I always wanted to be in the position I am. But when the Vans Pro Cup came out to 5 Dock, I was just like, not like, oh, I have a chance. That was like, I didn't even want to ride. I was just like, oh, this is cool, like my friends get to go ride a big contest. And when I went and did the regional qualifying, qualified in for the next day, and I ended up making finals, I was just like blown away I could make it that far in a Vans Pro Cup.
so good.
You're doing something right, man.
Yeah, but then the next year, like this year when I went to 5 Dock this year, I pretty much just did the same thing. But then Jace built the craziest wall next to the spine and then built like those two features in like the smaller bowl, and I was just like, this year's gonna be sick.
Yeah, well, you flip drop in
for best trick,
on that was fucking wild. I was sitting right like the grandstand behind that, like behind that extendo bit, like I was right there. And I was like, he's fucking not gonna do it, is he? And he did. I was like, yeah, that's
so I didn't even think I was going to do it myself. Like I was just like, the deck was real small. I remember the deck was like, the coping was like I'm not exaggerating, the deck was the coping was here and the grandstand was there.
People's faces were there.
People's faces were there because I remember Sergio the year like 2018. Sergio tried to do a foot plant. His foot missed the wall,
right.
and his bike went over and hit someone.
His bike just missed my dad's face.
No way.
My dad's 75 years old, and he was like, "Oh," like they were fucking very crowd participation, I guess.
No, that's crazy. Because I was like, oh yeah, he nearly hit someone, but it was your dad. That's
well,
crazy.
Yeah, it hit the person next to my dad. But, like,
so that vibe of one-off things happening, end of runs, I mean, that's been a staple of BMX comps forever. You know, Mirra did it, Miron's done it. Every big name BMX over the years has gone, I'm going to throw this at the end of my run, or I'm going to build up and then I'm going to go for this.
Yeah.
That's not really going to be a part of the Olympics, is it?
Well,
I mean, you shouldn't win a run on one trick.
It's not gonna be a best trick contest.
But once the buzzer's gone, it's gone.
Not a best trick, but someone goes for something outside of their comfort zone at the end of a run. You know what I mean?
I mean, back then the runs were 35 seconds, so you had enough juice to be like, oh, I'm gonna try this, but the runs are a minute long, man. Like it's
ridiculous.
It's a hard minute. Yep. So as soon as the minute's done, like you just want to put your legs up and just catch your breath. So I definitely think things are going to get interesting at the Olympics. I definitely don't think it's going to change. That's not going to change. That's always going to be the same in BMX. That's always going to be people always want to do something cool at the end. Just like I did in Hiroshima when I did that 900 at the end into the fire flare. Yeah. That's always going to be a part of our sport, just in different
Have you got something building in your head of what you want to do in Tokyo? I mean, depending on the course, I guess.
Yeah. Once I see the course, that's when I'm going to be like, okay, and map everything out, make it. So we're pretty fortunate that we get to ride the course for Tokyo in May.
Okay.
Or April.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in April. So the actual course we'll be riding for the Olympics, we get to ride in April.
Are you building a secret one here in Australia?
Dude, I wish. If I could build
it's just one... Sport. What are you doing? What's going on?
If I could build
one... chef?
Jason's back in the country. You can build you something.
Dude, we're just talking to Jason about extending the mini ramp at Monster, making like from the... Do you know where the street spine is on the mini ramp?
Yeah.
Extend that, but like put a ramp in all the way to like where the concrete pillars are.
Oh, right.
Put like a resi quarter, resi box and 10 foot before it. So we're talking to Jason now, and hopefully we can get something not for me to ride. That's not the case. I want it. So guys like Sam Gibson and Dev and Jake Sadler and all, they go, I want it. Because I know Dev, as much as he wants to be hardcore, raw frame, trails, shorts, scattered leg tats, he wants to go do a flip whip on a resi box jump sometimes.
And he can fucking... and he's got the skills, man. Like, he's got the skills. Yeah,
he can. And just build something for those guys that if they want to do at a set of trails or they want to do at Lemire on the hip, they can go to Monster and try it on the resi before, And that's something that I want to... I think I've always been like that, where I've wanted to just give back. Like, as soon as I get something, I want to give something back and make sure that I'm appreciated for not only what I have, but I want to bring everyone up with me. I don't know, it's something that's never changed about me since I was a kid.
That's BMX in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. I love BMX, and I just want everyone to experience how thankful I am and just try and give back as much as I can. Even with every comment on Instagram or everyone who supports me, I try and give back every little piece of what I can to make sure that... Because I know a lot of riders that really don't care about that stuff, and they're just like, I'm just here to win. And for me... those guys are a part of my journey, I'm not going to call them my fans. I feel like that's really arrogant of me to say that. Probably. But people who support my riding, they're a part of my journey. Everyone that supports me is part of my journey, and I'm thankful for every part of it. And I want to bring Australia with me. Every kid who rides a bike in Australia, I feel like whether they hate me or love me, they're a part of my journey, and I want to be able to provide stuff for them to ride later. So. Because at the end of the day, I want kids to remember my name for 100 plus years to come in my sport. So when I'm done and I'm just a bag of bones or in the ground, kids remember me for giving back as much as I can for the sport. Yeah. I'm just not a guy that was just doing well at one period in life and just pieced out. I want kids from 100 years from now to I want to be the reason that they start riding bikes.
That'd be a cool thing, man. We'll keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, we're at 2 and a bit hours.
2 and a bit hours.
I know, we've been going strong, man.
Yeah, it's easy to talk with some legends, huh?
Oh, shucks. I mean, I don't know, like, I guess one thing I wanted to just, mention is I listened to the Rollback podcast with Kyle Carlson. At the end of it, that was the end of your 2018 sort of season.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, you sort of emphasized more than mentioned that sort of watch this space. I've achieved some stuff, but the best is yet to come. And you've proved that already this year. And I mean, dude, I guess so it's, you've set sail.
And well, it's crazy. I'm gonna say that again, that the best is yet to come.
And dude, we're fucking pumped to see it.
No, I'm not gonna stop. That I say that then because a lot of, like what I said, 2018 was a big change for me, moving to America and getting set up over there. But when 2019, early 2019, like I moved into an empty house. There was only one thing in it, and that was my bed. And I just pretty much woke up, went to the skate park, and went home. And over the next few months when my girlfriend moved in, she finally turned the house into a home. And, I started finding my foot in not just riding there, but, finding the right gym, finding the right people to ride with, and also finding my routine, learning this whole 2019, just learning about adapting to this American lifestyle and riding and training and eating well and just being on the 8 ball the entire time. So 2020, now that I've figured all that out in 2019, 2020 is just like set sail, let's go, let's I'll be damned if I don't go get that gold medal in Tokyo.
Awesome,
I'll be freaking damned. So
we can't wait to see it,
dude. It's crazy because 2020 I see myself going to the Olympics, not just in the green and gold and wearing the Australian flag, and I see that, and that's all a part of it. But one thing I do see is throwing my bike after my run, getting the gold medal on the stage, and seeing it so clearly around me because my phone background is the Tokyo gold medal. Gotcha. And I look at that damn thing every single day. So as soon as I see it around my neck and I pick it up, and I'm representing all you guys, and I'm representing my family and everyone who rides a bike all around the world, regardless if they're from Australia or not. That's dream come true. That's what we're here to do, and that's pretty much why I moved to America, is to get that moment. It's not necessarily the medal. It's not necessarily to be the best. Like I don't think I'm the best by any means. I don't think I'm close to being anything close to Dave Mirra or Ryan or anything like that. I wanted, instead, like I remember someone said to me, they were like, don't, because I've always said I've wanted to be the next Dave Mirra. Even when I was younger, like when Mini Mirra used to say it, like I want to be the next Dave Mirra. And I remember like someone came up to me and said, don't be the second Dave Mirra, be the first you. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to be now, is the first me.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And you are the one and only.
Thank you.
I guess I don't know, man, wrapping it up, dude. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Dude, yeah. And best of luck, man.
Thank you.
Keep on rocking it into 2020, man. It's a big year.
Yeah, it will be a big year for both of us.
Yes.
For all of us, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Sweet.
Bonza, thanks, guys.